All right, welcome to the Krueg Show on a Sunday. Hope everybody's having a good Sunday. Toasty here in the Krueg today. Really kind of a warm day. I got the Dodger blue colors going on the lights today, guys. Can you see the blue shine? It's all Dodgers. All Dodgers in here today. Why? Because it was all Dodgers down there. The great Ryan Smith on the bottom wearing shades. Fresh off a long weekend of partying and at weddings and hanging with agents and unbelievable. Look at him. He's tanned up, looking like $1 million bucks.
Well, I really just wanted the reveal of how bad this sunglass tan is.
Nice. Wait till training camp. Wait till training camp.
Hey, and Lynn and I have a little wager that we think maybe you're kind of a secret wedding singer, that you're going off to all these weddings and that you're singing in these weddings.
Are you a wedding crasher? Are you a wedding crasher?
Oh, no.
Hear a little,
I was the most fringe guy at that entire wedding, and I'm not looking forward to just wedding season, because I'm now at the age where it's just wedding. And I woke up, we went to 1 on Friday night, right? And so, because we kept getting donations. And so then, I had to get up at 5, and my flight was at 8 o'clock, flew into LA. I'm all tired. And my girlfriend's like, well, we can just chill. We can go chill by the pool. And I was like, that sounds great. I'm just going to go fall asleep by the pool. It doesn't seem too sunny. And then I wake up, and this is the situation.
You know what the saying, louder the wedding, the quieter the divorce.
Okay, check this out.
Yeah. Oh my God!
Whoa, look at that, man!
What the heck is that?
Yeah, what the heck is that? Is that Whitey Herzog? Is that
Farmer John?
And it's disturbing.
Oh my God! First of all, you should have used some lotion, kid.
How about lotion?
Man,
just a little bit. Just a little bit.
How was it though? Getting up there with goggle eyes and having to sing be the main event. Did you sing "Perfect" again at this wedding? Come on, can we hear a little rendition of "Perfect"?
Well, come on. Since none of my wedding, fans are out there probably watching this, I'll let you know I actually lip sing.
And of course, up top, the great Dan Coccimilgio sipping on a tall drink of water, waiting for his lumpia.
Yeah, there it is, baby.
Look at you. What do you got there? Those aren't completes.
No, this is home cooked food.
Let's take a look at that. Can we take a peek at that?
Yeah, I might have to just take a bite of that here.
Look at that. Now, what is it? Exactly. Describe what you have there.
Well, let me find out what you put in this, babe, today.
Onion, garlic, salt, and
onion, garlic, and pork, right?
Mm-hmm. Ground black pepper.
Ground pork, black pepper,
little fried.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, look at Danny. Oh, look at that. Can you bring that a little closer to the camera? Yeah, there we go. A little closer. I want to see the texture. Wow. Rye, what are you thinking? That looks damn good.
That looks delicious.
Then I put a little sweet and sour La Choy on that.
Oh, look at you. You're not afraid.
I am. Now,
you've come far since the other night. You've come far.
She's getting the fried version, which tastes better. I'm getting the air fryer because
look at you. It's better for your health.
Yeah, a little better for my health with my acid
Of course,
reflux.
you're gonna wolf down some ice cream in a half hour. So what difference does it make?
It's the acid reflux that's been the problem.
I woke up with some of that.
Mercedes, BMW, Porsche. Hormel makes lumpia now, Dan. Hormel.
Yeah, but
all right. Let's get right to it. Let's stop burying the lead. That was a freaking tire fire. My God,
burying the lead.
That was embarrassing. Embarrassing. Okay, let me just go off for just a minute here.
Go ahead. I'm going to sit back and eat while you just entertain us.
This was a gotta have it game. You can't get swept in 4 against your arch rival coming out of the break, leading into the trade deadline. You have to get this one today. Now, I realize it's 162 and there are a couple out of the wild card and this and that, and it's all's not lost. I know. But this is a 4-game series at Dodger Stadium. This is a tone-setting second-half series off a break. I even heard Kapler say that they drained Belt's knee and then shot him up so he could play in the field coming out of the break. So because he recognized that Belt's the key. And then it just didn't happen. And here we are in this series. And I hate to say it because they won 107 games last year. But guys, the more I'm watching it, the more I think it was a freaking fluke.
I think the tragedy of it all is that it wasn't a fluke.
They had a great year, okay? But right now, Gabe Kapler has completely lost his rhythm as a manager. His feel is gone. They won 107 games. Let's talk about the mistakes just today, okay? Just today. He DHs Austin Wynns, who nobody has ever heard of. Nobody's ever heard of Austin Wynns. Does Gabe know that? Nobody's ever heard of this guy.
I think Gabe
just DH'd him at Dodger Stadium, and it's 10 times stupid because he's your backup catcher. And what does that mean? You can't take him out. If they go to a righty in the second inning, you're screwed with Austin Wynns.
He came up tied.
Not to mention, Yaz is sitting there. Belt is sitting there. You talked up Belt. Jock Peterson against his former club. That's a great angle. Everybody knows that's a great angle. Play players against former teams. They bring it. Jock Peterson is a big game player. Play him. You use Jock against the lefty anyway. I mean, what the hell? Where's Jock? Where's Belt? Where's Yaz? That's the bench. Where's Wade? All those guys are better options than your backup minor league catcher, Austin Wynns. My God. I mean, that's so 10 times stupid. That's number one. That's number one. Don't interrupt me.
Sorry.
That's number one. Number two, outfield defense has been a theme. You never should have traded Steven Duggar. He's your best defensive center fielder by a country mile. Your outfield defense has sucked all year. It's cost you. You put your mean Mercedes in left. You could have DH'd your mean. He's a DH. You have him in left field to start the game. That's bad enough. You leave him in a tie game late in the late innings to play left field. That is unbelievable. Why not go with Yaz and Slater? Choose who you want to play center field. Put the other one in left. My God, is it that difficult? That's bad decision number two. Bad decision number three. Why are you using Tyler Rogers in a high leverage must-win game? Why? Now, in fairness, there's not a lot of relievers that I have confidence in Giants land right now, but the least of which is Tyler Rogers. We said it 5 days ago. He's a 5-5 guy. You are up 5, you are down 5. Go with Tyler Rogers. Otherwise, don't. He went with Tyler Rogers. This game was not another game. This is the end of a 4-game series that you got to get one. And you go with Tyler Rogers in that situation, and then you've got your mean Mercedes and left. The people put the ball in play against Tyler Rogers. If you're going to go Tyler Rogers, you got to go defense. Then Ruff is having one of the best games of his life. His at-bats have been fantastic. And after you said you were going with Belt, but then you disrespected Belt. Belt looks like he's totally quit on you. He had 2 at-bats the other day that lasted less than 3 combined pitches. He bunted in a tie ball game in the 7th inning. I don't think Belt is feeling Gabe this year. Then you pinch hit Belt, who's not having a good series, for the guy who's swinging it best today. This is why you cannot manage off cue cards. Pinch hitting Belt for Ruff when Ruff was at his hottest, bad decision. Then you don't play Peterson against his former club because you can't play him against the lefty. Then you pinch hit him against Vesia. Vesia's a lefty. Unbelievable. I'll say it right now. I think Kapler has lost his feel. I think he's lost his rhythm. I think when you look at so many numbers, you're blinded to what's in front of you. You cannot manage off cue cards. You cannot manage at 1 o'clock in the afternoon for a night game. You can't manage at 9 o'clock in the morning for a day game. You have to manage it as you see it. He's not seeing it. He's not feeling it. He's not seeing it. I think he's probably losing some guys along the way. I don't know what to say. It's not like the roster's awesome. It's not like Farhan escapes blame. And it's not like they're spending they're spending a smaller percentage of their revenue than the Dodgers are. So guess what, ownership? You share in some of the blame as well. And the players obviously share in the blame. But Kapler, first and foremost, has lost his feel. He's lost his rhythm. He's lost his confidence. I don't know if he's got a philosophy right now. He's juggling so much. They have 2/5 of a rotation. They have the most inconsistent pen I've seen in a long time. And they've got an offense that sometimes gets it done, sometimes is. I don't think they're as good as their numbers. How many times we've seen this year where they're down 6 runs and they get 4 in the ninth and lose 6-4? I think those numbers are a little fraudulent. I think the Giants are a worse offensive club than their numbers. The numbers say they're a top 5 run scored team. They don't play like it. Anyway.
Is that music? Can you guys hear that music? I thought that was, it's good epic music. I thought would go.
Yeah, I can hear that.
At this point, and I've got a poll question up on Twitter. And the question is basically, who's more to blame for the Giants being a hot mess right now? Kapler, Farhan, the players themselves, or the ownership? And last we checked, Farhan was getting the most of the blame. So people are saying it's
quarter turn.
People are arguing that Kapler is doing the best he can with what he's got.
Kapler only 16%. The players.
Some people are saying, hey, the Giants are roughly 500. It's amazing they're 500 with what the talent they have. All right, let me just say this because then we'll get into the regular rest of our program. You guys can
keep cooking.
I'll shut up. But if I own this team, I would say, Gabe, thank you so much for last year. It was an amazing year. Bye-bye, goodbye. That's it. I would make Will Clark the manager. Yep. I would make Ryan Vogelsong the pitching coach. I would tie back to my history and a little bit less on analytics, on a little bit more on balance between analytics and scouting. I don't want every decision to be made 3 hours before the game. I want to go on feel, and I want a club that's fired up and motivated. There's a lot of bad hoodoo around the Giants. There's a lot of bad vibe. Doesn't seem like everybody's pulling on the same end of the rope. And I'd love Vogie to be the pitching coach. You're talking about 2 guys right now where Giants already have in their system. Vogie's the roving pitching instructor in the minor leagues. Will's the roving hitting instructor in the minor leagues. It's a less of a commitment than day-to-day for sure. I don't know that they'd be up for it, but that would be my combo. Will is the manager, Vogie as the pitching coach, Wotus back in the third base coaching box, work harder, play smarter, draft better, and turn this thing around. I realize that sounds dramatic. They won 107 last year. I get it. I don't know how they did it, but I'm just looking at what I'm looking at right now, and I see Kapler. We're just off the break. This guy needs a break right now. I mean, horrendous decision after horrendous decision. How you could DH Austin Wynns, how you could play Mercedes in left, how you could keep pitching Tyler Rogers in high leverage situations, and then this lefty righty matchup stuff to the end. And I get it. Their belief is that if they go lefty righty matchups and play the numbers all year long, that will be analytics and it can be defended, and that is the smarter play. And I would push back and say, you know what? I love the numbers, but feel matters as well. And I think you can do better on feel, mixing in the numbers with feel instead of just going strictly by the numbers. And then you didn't really go strictly by the numbers because Jock ultimately hit against Vesia late in the ball game, and you had lefty. Now, who would you have wanted up for extra at bats? Jock Belt, Wade, Yaz, so you could play Yaz and Slater together and have a phenomenal defensive outfield. No. Let's go to the career minor league backup catcher that nobody had ever heard of, Austin Wynns. So Cap has lost the field. The Giants just got swept in LA. And let's hear from all of you in the chat, because I'm seriously, today was when I've kind of stopped believing in where this thing's going. You know, I got to see a little bit more right now before I'm going to believe again. I don't know what the plan is going to be going into the break. But you know, who do you blame more? I mean, I realize the season's not gone. It's not like they can't make the playoffs. They can, but it doesn't. They don't look like a team that's getting better. They look like a team that's disintegrating. So
it's pretty frustrating. But out of all of this, what's crazy is they only lost a game and a half since the second half started. The Cardinals lost again today. The Phillies got swept by, I believe it was Toronto.
I officially hate this new wild card.
So what it's doing is
it just allows you to just play bad ball and just hang. Yeah. But I mean,
but I'm in total agreement with you, Larry. Marty put out a tweet today. He put the Giants lineup out there. You know, Slater, center field, Flores, Ruff, Mercedes, Estrada, VR, Gonzalez, Wins, Joey Bart. And he says, could this be a typical lineup in 2023? Many of the vets could be gone next year. Farhan has lots to evaluate this week. I replied, Giants stink on defense. So why doesn't Kapler go with the best defense? Put Yaz in center field and have Slater play left field and have Mercedes as the DH. Instead, he weakens the entire outfield with Slater in center field and Mercedes in left field. Not only that,
DH. I mean, the Wins decision is
that's
really
what it was.
cruel.
All to have Wins.
The Wins one is the one that Kapler has zero defense for, because you don't put Wins in there when you know you can't take him out of the game when he's your only backup catcher. So So you had to have Mercedes. I mean, you had to have once Wins was in the lineup, he was going to play the whole game and did.
Well, yeah, that was my point, though. I says all to have. You could have had Mercedes as the DH. It's Wins. I says all to have Wins as your DH. Stop platooning at all costs. It's embarrassing. Austin Wins was not even in baseball in the major leagues 2 months ago. Now he's your DH. I mean, come on. You had Jock on the bench.
Look at the options. I mean, Jock, Belt, Yaz, Wade, or Wins. Who looks at that group and says Wins? We're going Wins.
Nobody. Unless
you've lost your feel or you're looking at charts. I one time had a radio guy. I went in and talked to a program director years ago, and I said, "Hey, how's the show doing?" And he goes, and he looks down at the numbers, and he goes, I see him look down the line, then look across, and he's like, "Oh, it's not doing good. It's not doing good at all." And I go, "Really? It feels like we're killing it." And then he's like, "Oh, Christ, I got my finger on the wrong line. No, it's doing great. Show's doing great." So he's just looking at a line item. You know what I mean? This is a guy whose job it was to listen to it and tell you if it was good or bad. And he, just because he put his fat finger on the wrong line suddenly, and that was very, I saw that. I was like, wow. And that's how Gabe's managing this team. Who's going to DH? Well, my Tandy 5000 says it should be Wins. Oh, okay, so we're going to go with Wins, guys. Yeah, I'm insulting Belt. I'm wasting Jock against his former club. I'm not playing my best outfield defense, despite the fact that that's an obvious weakness. Yeah, I'm going to look aside from all of that to go with the career minor leaguer with no real offensive skills to speak of. I mean,
you see how fired up Larry is today?
Who I can't take out of the game because he's my number 2 catcher.
Larry gets a day off and he's refreshed.
It's so unbelievable. Cap needs a day off. He needs a day off in the worst way. Frisco Willie donates $9.99. Larry, you took the words out of my mouth. That was one of the worst managed games I've ever seen. Mercedes in the outfield, Wins at DH, Yaz on the bench, bringing in Rodgers with bad defense behind him. Yeah, I mean, we can't make this shit up. I mean, seriously, I was hoping for a nice Sunday afternoon, and I got a tri-tip on the grill, and I'm going to have a margarita, and the Giants come out and shit the bed and look just like ass along the way. And it's like, hey, wait a second, we got to have a show. And then I'm thinking maybe Rye's still at the wedding, and then I'm thinking, well, do we want Rye? He's going to have the raccoon tan, and I don't, that's going to hurt the ratings. And how do we beat the other night when Danny was eating the chicken ass in the middle of the night? It's hard to come back off that. Oh,
hey, thanks
I'm
for
gonna have a pull of water. I'm gonna have a pull of water.
Yeah, do that. And the question, and I hope the Giants media actually pushes back on this, because you could even hear Fleming. He's making insinuations now, and I wanted.
Good. My God, because he's the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah, but like what? Okay, you could even tell me. You know what? We're gonna DH. Obviously Donovan Walton is not a good hitter. He's a good fielder. If you wanted to even say, okay, you know what, we're going to DH Wilmer and we're going to play Walton at second, so at least we have an advantage defensively at second. Something even as like small and minute, and that also would kind of suck just to be playing Walton, but at least there's some like logic behind it. There's no logic behind Austin Wynns. He doesn't hit.
He's a no tool. He's a no tooler. They say Willie Mays had 5 tools. This guy's got no tools.
He just has tools at all. Last name. That's it. And then it's just like, seriously, like the you're mean thing. So because I was calling Danny when I was at
You're mean took a bad angle on that ball. That ball, a good left fielder catches that ball in the corner.
I'm telling you, before I thought the Giants were going to win this game, and I was calling Danny throughout. Talk a little live bets. I even on the phone with you, I was like, you know what, Ruff's about to hit a 2-run home run, tie it. And then we got off the phone. Yep. It looked like the problem
is the hot hand. Gabe Ruff just hit one out. Now you're pinch hitting for him the next AB.
Some of the Giants are actually, it seems like it doesn't seem like the whole team is like, it wasn't like 2 weeks ago where it was like the whole team was playing like ass. But actually we have some guys that are showing up. I love the energy Mercedes has on offense. I love the way Ruff's hitting. But it's just like when I saw the pitch before, when Mercedes went back to the wall, I said in my mind, why the hell is Mercedes in this game? Why the hell? Or in the field, because he's like, I like
he's
when
he DH.
Put him at DH, and then we have the option of having. But what does it matter if we put Yaz in the outfield? Is Yaz going to be worse than freaking Wins at the plate? I mean, you're batting him 8 for a reason. Should be batting him 9. Yeah, it literally makes zero sense. And I literally said to my dad, I said, "Oh, we're fucked. Like this is over. We're fucked." I saw Tyler Rogers was in the bullpen. I said, "Dad, it's over." And I immediately live bet the Dodgers -2.5 at a big plus number. And immediately Tyler Rogers, or that play happens. He completely misjudges it. Tyler Rogers comes in. Every Giants fan that has watched 30% of the season said, "Oh my God, we're fucked. We are fucked now." Tyler Rogers is in the game. He's going to be throwing meatballs. And we just had to watch him. He walked 2 guys and allowed 3 doubles, all that were RBIs. Like, what the hell?
Maybe Rye's settling in on a new marketing campaign. Giants baseball. Together, we're fucked.
Yeah, together, we're fucked. Seriously.
We all won money today. I took the Dodgers as soon as I saw the lineup that Wins was the DH. I says, I'll take the over.
I know that actually made me think the Giants might win, though. I thought you might give the anti-reverse jinx. But
well, I thought it might. I was hoping I would lose the money. Actually, it was I just bet $27.50, and I was like, I'm pulling for the Giants. I was like, $27.50 is nothing if the Giants can win. So, but then when it was like 7,
there's Dan Coccimilgio betting with his head, ladies and gentlemen. Realmoney.com on the web.
Wait, seriously though, if you were to tell me, like, if you had to explain this Giants team and how they're going to hang in it this year, like last year, I would say, you know what? How are they beating the Dodgers? Not a single player on the Giants lineup would even start for the Dodgers outside of Buster Posey. You know what? They had a couple guys having career years, and defensively, it just seemed like they never made mistakes. Whether it was the shift was better last year, I don't know. They never made mistakes. They made the other team lose the game. This year, our defense is shit. There's a reason why we're number 1 in FIP. Our defense is shit. And then you're like, okay, well, our defense is shit, but at least
Ryan,
our offense is also shit.
How do you feel about the Giants' defense right now?
Yeah, I mean, seriously, what the hell?
Seriously, you're a little too measured for me right now.
Hey,
Mark Hope, wait a second. Mark Hope, cash comes before Danny.
I'm putting them up. I got another one to put up right after this.
Mark Hope just donates $2. He says, agree 100%, Larry. I'm in for $27. Someone top that, please. Oh, so is he going to give us like $2 at a time for 27? Is that okay?
Well, because he did give us a bunch the other night. Okay. Also, we got to get to the chat because we also had a new member.
We got another.
MF says $1.99. I yacked all over the right field pavilion today. MF, it would not be a live stream if MF didn't claim to yak.
Yeah, I know.
Have you noticed that? He's
absolutely.
Tony new D. Team member. Wait a second. Tony D for the Giants therapy, $9.99. Look at that.
Thank you.
Way to go, Tony D.
Look at the money rolling in for Giants therapy. Therapy.
And
Giants need therapy.
Ronald BBX, YouTube member. All right, there we go.
You know what would have been great if Clay, I put the tweet out if when Clay they showed him jumping in the stands and he was all fired up, if he would have done one of the Steph night right after Thompson hit that triple.
You knew that was happening too.
This game, I really, to me, there are indications here, guys. And I know it sounds crazy to say, to even bring up the topic, move on from Kapler. It sounds so knee jerk. And I understand that, believe me, as somebody who, covers sports and has for years and years, I understand what it sounds like when you're saying a manager who led a team to 107 wins last year has lost the room. But you've got Crawford's wife tweeting out, are we ever going to bunt? You got veteran pitchers speaking out about leadership. You got Kapler, who's quiet as a church mouse in the dugout most days, seems to, I don't know. He's like really tied to his numbers. I mean, if you really have Kai Correa manage the team, if it's just going to be about, we're just going to stick to our numbers. I mean, if we're going to beard too, no experience,
he can manage. He looks. His beard
just have anybody do it. Have anybody who's got a Giants uniform and is getting paid. But I think the manager's job is to factor in the numbers and manage the game that's in front of him. Baggerly says Giants clubhouse still has not opened to the media. Gabe Kapler isn't a huge team meeting guy, but this would seem to be an obvious time for one. Yeah, they need a meeting. I hope they're listening to this. That's what they should be doing, listening to this, because this is the truth. The truth is this team, I get the feeling between what Crawford's wife tweeted, the ABs that Belt has had, the kind of the bad hoodoo on the bench with this team, I get the vibe that that year two, or this is not year two. What is this, year 4 for Kapler?
Year 4.
Yeah, year 4 is that what it is?
Right, 2020. This is year 3 for Kapler, 4 for Farhan.
Okay, year 3 for Kapler. I don't know if he's lost the clubhouse, if his message is not resonating. But they've made their point perfectly clear. If the numbers say X, they're going X. And they're just going to ride with the numbers all year long. And if the numbers, favor them enough, then, they're not going to look beyond the numbers. And this was a game where they're playing strict. You can't say you're not playing lefty-righty games when you play Austin Wins and sit Yaz, Belt, and Jock, who you can make an argument that all 3 of those guys are significantly better options. And if, Wade as well, because Wade's a good defender as well. So Wade or Yaz for D, Belt or Jock for power, Jock against his former club. I think that's an angle that's real live and kind of universal.
You got to play against your
You got to play Jock.
You got to play any ABs.
You got to play Jock against his former club. I don't care what the agreement was in the offseason. It doesn't matter to me. You cannot go with Austin Wins. And don't tell me that when they're sitting there on the bench and they see that lineup, they don't think to themselves, Gabe is losing it. Gabe is losing it. Seriously, I don't believe that Belt or I mean, they played. It wasn't like they sat all lefties. They played Luis Gonzalez,
who doesn't have great splits against lefties.
So I mean, it's not like it was like some strict rule, but you got to get Austin Wins in there, and then that was just unbelievable to me. It just bad decision after bad decision. But it's a bigger issue. The bigger issue is the feel. I think he's lost his kind of feel because he's juggling so much.
Absolutely.
And I've seen it done before. When your club is limited and you're doing everything to grind every advantage, you lose your feel. And I think he's lost his feel.
You know what you do in that situation, Larry?
I think he's made decisions in the last few weeks that has caused him to lose some of the guys in the room.
Yeah, you
and
know what
maybe
you do
it hasn't
in that
come out
situation?
yet,
Just
but that's my belief.
Best players out there. Just go put your best players out there and throw them out there, because if you're trying to do it with,
But Danny, that's the thing. He doesn't know who his best players are until the Tandy 5000 shoots out the printout.
Well, that's what I mean.
If there was a power outage, the game would have nothing at all to go by.
Dropping EMP and the whole organization would just
He's
crumble.
Gabe Kapler, brought to you by PG&E.
It's
If PG&E
unbelievable.
goes down, Kapler's going down.
Wait. Also, this is something we
Chat,
got.
we got to get to it. We got to get to it. We got a couple more donations.
We got a couple big
All right,
donations.
here we go. Let's go with them.
Before, I just want to say this. We constantly are complaining about how Kapler never gets out there, never argues with umps, never shows any emotion. This was the most indicative thing ever. The first time I've seen him show any emotion and get out there and argue with the freaking umpire, basically the whole year, was just because the other team didn't properly submit their lineup or their pitching change, or I forget what it was, but it was essentially he got pissed because he couldn't properly calculate the righty lefty matchups because they didn't announce it. That's what pissed him off. That's what got him out of the
they
dugout.
announced that they announced the giant hitter too fast for him.
Yes, that's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah, Stephen
Jock
Copeland
Peterson.
8 donates $9.99. He says, "I'm so done with this team. I get so frustrated watching them. Some big changes better be on the way. I really don't understand what Farhan is doing." So he's blaming Farhan. Another guy blaming Farhan.
Well, let me say this about
We got this one.
the
Wait, hold on a second
situation.
here. Tony D, thank God for some Larry Krueger therapy. There you go. Let's get these out of the way here. Kyle Harrison, Calba Kamiga, $10 donation. We love Calba. He's really, really bright. He says Kyle Harrison is ready now. He knows the Giants have a bad defense, suspect offense, and bullpen. The only way to win is to strike everyone out. The kid, I kid, of course, but Danny, you put this out there. Harrison struck out how many?
Nine in 3 innings. He
everybody.
walked the first guy and he struck the next 9 out.
Yeah,
I would say
that's good. I would say that's good.
really, really good sign. That
Here we go. We got another one here. Frisco Willie. Larry, you took the words out of my mouth. He was one of the worst. Okay, we already read this one.
We got a big one. We're forgetting a big guy.
Wait a second. We're down here. We're going down. We're going. The chat's moving so damn fast here.
Here's one.
Giant Niner fan, $2.35. I'm buying Dan dinner again.
Oh, that's hilarious. That is what it was $2.35.
$2.35. I think they're a little bit more with tax, though.
Brandon Graham.
Whoa,
yes.
28.
Brandon Graham. He says this team benefited from veteran buy-in last year. This year, those vets are hurt and are underperforming. That's a good point. Kapler is grasping at straws with underperforming vets and under-talented youth. The Giants, the Giants are who we thought they were. Okay, I think Brandon.
The Bears are who we thought they were.
So he's saying that saying that the team's not deep enough. So in a way, he's blaming Farhan, but he says Kapler is grasping at straws with underperforming vets. So he's kind of along my thought that Kapler is just too much juggling. It's like too much juggling. It's all of a sudden you don't know. He has no philosophy. It's all about the computer printout. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, it is. And here's the thing I don't understand regarding Farhan. We know he's looking for inexpensive guys that are fringe and he could find. Trace Thompson, the Dodgers traded for a little over a month ago for cash. They didn't even give up a player.
How much more fun would it be to see Klay Thompson out there instead of wearing Dodger colors and Giants colors, waving those Giants flags? Look how much more energy there would be. How many more Warrior fans who may have come over and checked out a game just because, I don't know, Clay's there and Clay's in the bleachers. He's having fun. Oh, yeah. Do you remember the summer of 22? Yeah, it was super fun. Trace was on the team and Clay would be in the bleachers. And, yeah, Clay would be signing autographs and talking to the fans.
We probably have Clay out there doing a Larry Krueger. I mean,
Frisco Willie donates $1.99. He says, I blame Larry Bear, Farhan, Harris, and Cap.
That order.
I wonder if that's Cap or that's Colin Kaepernick. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, Farhan, Harris, the team. Yeah, you know what? I'm kind of in agreement a lot with Frisco. Was that Frisco Willie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because the Giants, they're not spending money. They're going on the cheap. Where is the commitment to the fans after a 107-win season? It's the most exciting season that didn't turn into a world championship in the history of the Giants. It was an incredible pennant race with the Dodgers for 3 months. Every day was stressful. And they come off this 107-win season. They traded for Chris Bryant, which gave us hope. It was like, oh, they're willing to go for it. And then they let him walk, which I understand that. But they didn't do anything to replace him or Posey. And that's what's so frustrating, is because it's like, oh, we got a 107-win team. Fans will be satisfied. Let's go with a low payroll and pocket the profits. We're like the Oakland A's. The Giants are like the Oakland A's. There, I said it. There's no difference between John Fisher and the Giants this year, in my opinion.
The excuses, it looks like the first excuse that's out of the books is Yaz is dealing with a calf injury, so he was unavailable to go. There's other ways to get around it. I'm sorry. There's other ways to get around it.
Wait a second. This one, Frisco Willie says, Susan Slusser said today she thinks they might pick up Longo's option and run it back next year.
No way.
I had heard the opposite. I had heard that he was going to retire.
MF is
maybe they'll do some kind of buyout, right?
No way. They're not going to pay
kind of
13 minutes.
Paul Perriman, are you on the radio this week? Yeah, we will be on the radio. Later in the week, we'll be down at Niner Camp one of those days on 95.7. I'll be on with Dibs, I believe. I think it's Thursday of this week. And of course, Ryan and I will be at camp, starting first day at camp on Wednesday. And also, by the way, I should mention this. Tuesday morning, if you watch the KTVU morning show, I will be on television on the KTVU morning show, talking a little bit about the channel, maybe even talking about Dan Coccimilgio and that complete chicken ass that you continue to bring to the table. Please
promote that Hormel for us.
And we'll talk a little bit about Rye's raccoon sunglass thing and his partying ways. And probably we'll tell people about where they can find the channel. We'll talk a little Niner football. So catch me out, KTVU morning show, Tuesday morning from camp with Rye Wednesday. And we're blowing this camp out. And you'll see starting Wednesday. And then Thursday, catch me on the game down there. And then Friday, we'll be back at camp and camp. You want to be a member of the Krueg Show going forward. Why? Because we are going to have all the best sound, all the best audio, all the best video right here. All right, Stephen Copland.
Larry, can you imagine what kind of raccoon I'm going to be rocking 2 weeks from now? I'm going to need a veil. Seriously.
In fact, maybe we could take a picture of you just now, and then we could do a compare and contrast segment. That would be fun to do, like day 1 of camp, day 2 of camp, day 3 of camp. Send that back. How Ryan destroyed his skin. Let me just read this. Let me read this one. Stephen Copland 8 donates $4.99. Why is Farhan acting like he's running the A's? I mean, that just goes right into it. That's a great question. All right, here's the other thing I want to point out, because people would say, well, I blame, there's always people want to defend everybody. Well, the players play the game, damn it. At the end of the day, it's all about the players. All right, yeah, it's true. But I would say, are the players good enough, right? What players are we talking about? And then is the game being managed well? I think I outlined today that I don't think it's being managed well. Or do the Giants have a lot of talent on their roster? No. So in that case, I blame Farhan as well. Does Farhan have enough money to spend? Okay, I looked this up today because I wanted to make sure I had this absolutely right. And this is last year's revenue, guys. Listen to this. 2021, the Giants' revenue was $384 million. The player payroll last year was $180 million. Now let's compare that to the Dodgers' revenue. The Dodgers' revenue was more. The Dodgers do have more revenue. The Dodgers have revenue of $565 million. $565 million in revenue. That's a ton. But they have a player payroll of $292 million. So I wanted to see what percentage, and of course, this doesn't include the tax that the Dodgers also spend at the top for spending the most. They do have a payroll tax, a competitive balance tax, but that's before the tax. So I wanted to see which team spends a higher percentage of their revenue, the Giants or the Dodgers. Well, the Giants spent 47% of their revenue on player payroll. LA spent 52% of their revenue this is all 2021 on player payroll. So 52% versus 47%. So the Dodgers spent 5% more of their revenue on player payroll. So if the Giants had the exact same, if the Giants spent the same as what the Dodgers spent as far as not, in relation to their revenue, because to me,
52%, what would that bring them up to from 155?
That would bring them up to, that means the Giants would have had somewhere between 19 and $20 million more to spend on player payroll. And everybody knows, knows that's one or two more really good players.
Exactly.
If the Giants had 19 or $20 million more to spend, they probably would have gotten the guy from Cincinnati, the
Castellanos.
They probably could have landed maybe Seiya Suzuki. They probably could have landed.
They could have got Schwarber and Castellanos with that extra $20 million because they were already planning on giving them.
Right. So what do you think ultimately, if you had added Castellanos and Schwarber to what they have? Now they have other holes.
Revenue should go up from that too. It should be correlated.
Right. Well, I mean, so it's all about to me, it's about what percentage of the revenue are you spending? Because otherwise, a good business doesn't, you say, well, what do you want them to spend? Well, I think the spending should be tied to your revenue. And the Dodgers are spending 52% of their revenue pie on the payroll. The Giants are spending 47%. And the 5% difference amounts to $19 million for the Giants.
Probably going to those extra 10 coaches.
And if you added the $19 million, worth of players to this Giant team, they're not necessarily winning this division, but guess what? They're a hell lot closer than they're at right now. I believe.
30 home runs from Schwarber, Rebel 444 says. I mean, imagine 30 home runs. I mean, obviously, you have to do the math. I don't know. He'd be replacing somebody that, let's say, has had 5 in total with the split, with the platooning, but 25 more home runs. It's like, come on.
MF here says,
here's $4.99. I'm yakking in my dad's car on the way home about the idea of picking up Longo's option. We need more youth. There's no chance in hell they're picking up his option.
There's no way.
Chance.
And
they'll
you know
pay
what?
The buyout. My God, I guarantee. Sometimes you don't have to ask. Sometimes you just know, and that's one that you just know.
And Longoria's probably hoping they buy him out so he could retire.
They're going to work on a end of the year, September. Here's what we owe you if we.
Well, it's $5 million. They buy him out it's in the contract. He's got a $13 million deal next year, but they can buy him out for $5 million. So the net gain is $8 million for the Giants. It's a no-brainer.
Right. And that's if he plays the rest of the year. He may decide to retire this year. He's hardly ripping it.
And here's the next thing.
VR anyway. He knows they'd rather go with VR.
And the other thing the Giants are going to do this week, and it's irritating me, is they're going to bring La Stella back off the disabled list. They brought up the flamethrower Santos today. Why he wasn't in there instead of Rogers?
Santos,
Yeah, I don't know why he wasn't in there instead of Rogers. I mean, the Dodgers have just incredible.
They've proven they own Rogers.
Yeah, exactly.
Rogers should wear a Dodgers jersey. He owns that. They own them so much.
So
I mean, it's ridiculous. Never put Rogers into it. Rogers should be strictly 5 up, 5 down, and it's probably more like 5 down only. You don't really want him up in a 5-run game because his command wanes. So it's like
he's a 5 down, 7 up.
Yeah, 7 up, 5 down. That's what he really is.
Yeah. So,
I'm not trying to, be flip about it, or I'm not enjoying it. He throws 74 miles an hour.
If you're adjusted,
if you're a left-handed hitter and a guy throws 74 and you want to commit to slapping it the other way, you got all day to wait. You got an eternity to wait. So, I mean, that's what the Dodgers showed in the playoffs, is that they were just going to wait and shoot it the other way. And they owned him. You can't, they've got the book on him. Stop using, I mean, if you want to use some analytics, go self-scout your own dudes. My God, go check what Rodgers has done against the Dodgers. Well, I can't believe they used him today in a high leverage. I mean, this game this was as close as a baseball season gets to must win in July, right? Would you agree? I mean, it's not really must win, but for July, it's must win. And they put it. I mean, it was embarrassing. Frisco Willie donates $4.99. He says, from Susan Slusser, reading between the lines of this recent Q&A I did with Farhan Zaidi, I wouldn't be totally surprised if the Giants pick up that option. No. They're not picking up the option. You mean I think she means pay the buyout. They're not picking up the option. I guarantee you they're not picking up the option. Stephen Copland 8 donates $4.99. How much authority does Harris even have? It just feels like he's a GM in name only. Yeah, I wonder
no idea. I don't know what they're doing.
Titles can mean anything.
But when you look at the signings that the Giants continue to go after, and guys, I mean, and it's really frustrating to me because you watch a guy like Trace Thompson, who is an athlete. He's a real good athlete. He's a borderline big league hitter. I get that. Right. He's not a great hitter, but he is a guy that would, be out there. The Giants needed another right-handed bat.
With Clay slamming a beer at the game.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, we don't want that. We don't want Clay chugging beers in our bleachers.
Hey, you got to play this, Rye. I'll send it to you so you could put this up. I don't know if you might have to turn the sound down.
Not that Clay is everything.
But this one was
Gonzo Shitcock says, just heard Lasky on KMBR media was locked out of the locker room. What do you guys make of this? What I make is that there's a lot of pissed off dudes. And there's a lot of, I think Cap's lost the room. And I've tried to say that about 19 different ways in the last 3 days. I mean, we've been talking about this in the show for days.
A week at least. Or even,
seriously.
Yeah, weeks. I mean, it's been,
we don't have to butter anybody's muffin over here. That we don't have to suck anybody's ass over here. We can be straight. That's the beauty of this.
I don't know if we should do this donation or not, but it's a donation, so we got to read it.
$5 says, life is good. Rams beat the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. Dodgers knocked the Giants out of the playoffs last season. And this year, Giants are 16 and a half games behind L.A.
And he's got a Ram logo. Okay.
Oh, look at that.
Wow. Enjoy it.
Oh, look at that. I just did what every athlete does. I went for the cash. I secured the bag. I had to sorry, chat. I had to secure the bag.
Whatever. At least everybody knows that LA is a Laker town, and guess what? The Lakers are not going to be good again for 12 years with the way they mortgage their future.
Carol says it best. Carol Tieso is one of our favorites. She says the only reason Cap should hold a post-game meeting is to apologize. Guys, hey, I'm just not myself. I'm taking whatever I'm taking, and my hand's hurting, and my tat's bothering me, and my beard. I gotta think I have an ingrown hair. I think I get an ingrown hair right now, and I'm just not feeling it. And I've lost my way, and I have no feel, and I have no philosophy. And my Tandy 5000 only is down to its last bar, and it's just ridiculous. He's lost the room, I think, because the lefty righty matchups to death, that doesn't take into account defense, who's hot, your former club. Should have played Peterson today. I would have played Peterson, and if I didn't play Peterson, I would have gone outfield defense with Yaz.
Yep.
But then what the heck? I mean, you told John Miller going into the series that you intentionally did all these precautionary medical procedures with Belt to get him full exposure in this series. Now it's a gotta have it game in the same series, and he's not in there for Austin wins. You got to be kidding me. If I'm Belt, I'm turning over the spread. I'm
turning over the spread, and I'm going into Kapler's office and say, either get me out of here or put me in the lineup every day.
Exactly. Trade my ass, or I should be playing for Austin Wins. We're getting on an airplane, and you just pinch, and then Ruff should be pissed because he's like, hey, man, I'm swinging it like I rarely have, and you pull me out. So, I mean, what it is feel. And when you go by the numbers and the printouts, you start to have no feel. And he has no feel.
Did we do
if you're
this one already?
Farhan, Stephen Copland 8 donates $4.99. If you're Farhan, do you seriously considering firing Kapler?
Farhan, probably not. But because I don't think if I'm Farhan, I'm in a I think you got to be a different person than Farhan. Farhan loves Kapler because Kapler does what he tells him to do.
Right. Kapler is a conduit. So if Farhan might as well put on a uniform and manage himself.
Well, what I don't understand is I understand having the guy that is your lackey that just you tell what to do and he goes by the stats and all that stuff.
It's well documented, right? The lineups are made out by the general manager.
But that's totally cool. But shouldn't Kapler, the role Kapler's playing right now, he should be an assistant coach. We have no one to manage the team. We have no one managing the emotions, the feel, like what you're saying. There's nobody that is taking stock in the feel of the team. We don't have anybody to do it.
Mark Hope donates $2. Says maybe Cap's getting fired right now.
I wish.
That would be pretty wild.
In the media.
Nick says Farhan only fires Kapler if he thinks his ass is on the line.
Well, that's what maybe Larry Bear needs to step up here and say, look.
Oh, my God.
Maybe,
MF, I was at 3 out of 4 games here in L.A. It was absolutely sad. Kapler looks like a yes man making moves like a computer.
Hey, you know
hard
what?
to argue that.
Maybe
it's hard
we
to
need
argue
to be
against that.
Maybe who made that comment about only if was it Mark Hope about Kapler's being on?
Steven Supremo. Rumor is this team is watching this pod right now.
Yeah, they're huddled up.
Guys, shut up. Dan Coccimilgio is about to make a point.
Yeah, hey, listen. He's going to bring out the complete chicken ass.
He's bringing out that chicken ass crap, and I think Danny wants more than the Lumpia had to offer, and he needs more of the chicken ass later. Stick around.
I mean, you look at the chat, you look at Twitter, you look at all over. The fans see it. We all saw that wins should not be your DH, and Mercedes shouldn't be out in left field. How come the club can't see this? I mean, this isn't rocket science. I mean,
look at this. Look at these Fangraphs numbers for defense. I don't know if this is defense, defensive wins above replacement. It's just the Fangraphs defensive thing. Check this out. So this stat, the defense. Astros are 25.6. Can I just get a guess of what the Giants are? Throw me.
How does that work? 25.
I know the Giants are 23rd or something, aren't they?
So this says whatever this defensive runs prevented or whatever. They're 25.6. Looks like the set about the midpoint is about even. What do you guess the Giants are? If the number one is at 25.
25 is low. Is it supposed to be a low number?
25 is good, man. 25 is the best.
Is a higher number bad or lower? I can't tell.
Higher number is good.
It's negative. It's going to be a negative number. You can see that.
Higher number. So higher number.
Negative 12.
So last year the Giants were 17. I think what it is defensive runs.
There are two.
Defensive runs saved, I think, is the stat. So, the Astros have saved 25. Last year, the Giants were positive plus 17. Let's see what they are this year.
Oh, -4. -4.
Oh, wait, that did not sort correctly. -35.7.
No way. That's a 52-run swing.
-35.7.
They've been eating too much of that completes before the game.
What the hell?
Goodness. Where are they rated? Who's below them? Anybody?
Nobody is even close. The second closest is
Sacramento
10 runs different. The third closest is 20 runs away.
Okay, let's solve that by bringing.
Wait a second. Let's talk about that for 1 second. What is the difference from last year to this year? What is it?
Age and injury.
No.
And lack of feel
age and injury. Buster.
Poser's gone, and Posey's gone. Wotus is gone, and Bryant. Solano.
But the big one is Wotus.
That's what I said, Wotus.
Yes.
Wotus is the big one. Why? Because he's the guy that made him work hard. Yep. He's the guy that said, get your ass on the field and we're taking grounders. He's the old school red ass guy who gets in people's faces, even though he's nice with the media. Ronnie's a tough guy. And they took that tough guy away for more guys looking at pie charts. And now what do you got? Now you got a team that probably doesn't work as hard, and that would be my guess.
Larry,
the idea of my combo of bring back Wotus, make Will the manager, make Vogie the pitching coach. Guys, I think that would work.
I do too, and I would make Wotus instead of the third base coach.
I'm not saying abandon analytics. I'm not saying do whatever the hell you want, go off your wild field crazy. No. Use your analytics, factor them in, and then use your instincts. You are a baseball man. Will Clark has devoted his life to the game. If he sees that something's wrong with you in the batter's box, listen to him. He's got real insight. And to me, Vogelsong is the kind of tough, red-ass guy that also would just be no frills. He's honest. Absolutely. He's real. He's pitched in every level. He's pitched internationally. He's been a starter. He's been a reliever. And he understands the mindset. He's a tough guy. Smart, tough guys. That's what you want as your coaches in any sport across the board. And then you bring back a guy like Wotus. I think Wotus is a big part of that defensive regression. I really believe that. He's the guy that reps it. He's the guy who drives the guys. He's the guy that took all that stuff personally. And to take him out of the dugout, I think that right there is a direct result of him not being there. MF donates $4.99. Says Farhan went to MIT. Why would he put Wins as a DH? Why not put Mercedes as the DH so he doesn't make a bad error in the field?
Well,
I can't counter that, MF. It's too, sound.
Do you know how many home runs Austin Wins has against lefties this year?
No.
0. Do you know how many doubles he has against lefties? 0.
No. I never heard of him.
He's a zero, like you said, he's a zero tools guy.
He has 1 home run on the year and 2 doubles.
Farhan is taking Kapler's beard trimmer away right now. That's why
look at Farhan's moves, though, at catcher. I like Bart. I'm fine with Bart. I'm fine with Casale.
Bart, I love Bart. I'm starting to love Bart. Did you see him throw the guy out at second today?
Yeah.
Did you see when he struck out on the ball 2 inches down? He's like, you know what he said to him? He said to him, I want my pitcher to get that.
Yes.
Is my pitcher going to get that? That's what he said to that umpire. And the umpire assured him, your pitcher's getting that. But I like that. I like Chili Bart.
I like seeing that. Exactly.
He's got fire.
So he's like one of their most athletic guys.
Look at steal that second base. He's got some
play Bart.
Speed.
Play Bart.
And they
played Bart. It's not like they didn't play Bart. They played Bart. But what's Austin Wins? Now Dusty was the other way. He would put his starting catcher out there. He would not he would never pinch hit his backup catcher. Why? Because if your catcher goes down, who's going to catch? But the Giants seem totally willing today to do that with Wins. But then when I first saw that, I thought, well, wait a second. That's going to force them to keep him in the game. I'm like, nah, they'll probably gamble in the 6th or 7th. No, they didn't gamble. So they put a weak hitter in the lineup against better hitters, and they guaranteed that weak hitter would get 4 at-bats. For what? Why are we carving out ABs for Austin Wins when you have Belt, Yaz, and Peterson all sitting right there? I don't get it. I'm not getting it. Mark Hope donates $5. He says, Wotus is missed. Baseball is a defensive game. Only game the defense holds the ball. It's 9-on-1. If you really think about it, someone beat $28. Mark wants to see somebody donate more than $28.
Come on, 29. Here we 20. Even 2801 will do. He did,
I guess we can do cents.
So here's the problem I see. When you talked about Dusty, I even thought about him the other day. I'd rather see even 70-whatever-year-old Dusty back in the dugout. But he's
got a gig.
I know. I'm saying he's with Houston, but I would. He would
and they're
be
one of
better
the best
than what we
teams
got.
in baseball.
Right.
Dusty's got a great shot to win the World Series this year.
Absolutely. I'm not saying but my point is
why the hell would he want to come here?
That's the problem. I don't think you're going to get a true baseball manager as long as Farhan is running the show, because it's all driven. Everything is done before the game at 3:00 with all the charts.
It's okay to have all the analytics.
It is.
It's also okay to mix and feel. Now,
if you asked Farhan and Gabe,
about the setup the Giants have. Gabe would say, Farhan and the front office give me analytics and we make the calls here in the dugout. And Farhan would say that. Gabe would say that as well. That Gabe has the analytics, but has the discretion to do what he wants. We all suspect that that's crap and that really it's just the analytics is going to rule the day, and that if Gabe doesn't use Farhan's numbers, Gabe won't be there. But what if you had a guy like Will Clark and he said to Farhan, hey, you know what? I love the numbers. Keep throwing them at me. Let me see them. I want to see it all. I'm going to do what I damn well please, but I want to see all those numbers. I think that's a better way to go. I really do.
That's how Boach did. Boach took analytics. They had analytics. But
maybe
before
Will could be better than Boach. Maybe he can instead of taking maybe Boach was like 50-50 analytics. How about more like 70-30, 75-25, 80-20, 85-15, not 100-0. And that's where it's at right now. It's 100-0.
It seems like it because there's no logical explanation for Austin Wynns not only being the DH, but being on the 26-man roster. I mean, I know you don't have a backup right now, but you had Papirski, then that didn't work. Now you bring in Austin Wynns. This is not.
I thought Mercedes could catch.
Yeah. Then you got Knapp.
Let Mercedes be the backup.
Exactly. You can catch Bart at 24 years old. He can go every day.
You're not throwing anybody out stealing anyway. Nobody's even really stealing ever.
Just be the receiver.
You probably should be playing Bart every day anyway.
Exactly.
So just play Bart and let Mercedes be number 2 and take Austin Wynn's roster spot and give it to somebody who's a major league player.
Isan Diaz or something that's on the down.
Diaz would be that's a good name. In fact, that's the name I'd rather see up this week than Tommy La Stella.
Exactly.
DFA La Stella.
Exactly.
Make it the Isan Diaz era.
I mean, are we going to have La Stella run out of grounder?
I watched AAA ball. That kid's got a line drive stroke. He's got 16 or 17 bombs.
17 homers, and he's hitting 263.
They won't do that, though. They won't do that because they've got La Stella under contract next year.
Yeah, but it's like, that
would be a mistake, and that would be the ownership would be mad at Farhan for that level of a mistake.
You know what?
He knows it.
I thought about this afternoon as I was watching this, and I said, okay, if the Giants really aren't going to go for it, if they're not going to try and really improve the team at the trade deadline, I mean, significantly make some good trades, then let's start selling. And here's who you sell. I thought, who could the Giants sell and get prospects? Number one, you got Rodon. You can bring a number 1 prospect back. You could trade Belt and get a top 30 prospect. You could trade Flores and get maybe a top 30 prospect. You could trade Jock and get a top 20 prospect, probably.
I mean, seriously, why not trade Jock at this point? If he's just going to get iced out in a series versus the Dodgers, what the hell are we doing?
I mean,
MF says here's $4.99. He says, how in the hell did the Giants win 107 games last year? I'm asking myself that same question, MF. He said Wade and Belt look lost at the plate right now, which was not the case last year. Yeah, what in the heck happened? And then Mark Hope donates $2. Says Tommy La Stella is a giant bust. LOL Farhan. Yeah, no, they should have a shut clubhouse because I bet you they've got guys pissed off. And some are pissed off at losing. Some are pissed off at each other. Some are pissed off at Gabe.
They're not playing. They don't know what their roles are.
It's a hot mess right now. The Giants right now are, I think, in a really, really tough spot. There's a lot of pressure. Believe me, there's pressure when, you got the trade deadline approaching August the 2nd. It's July the 24th. They just got swept. Now they're going home for a Cub team.
They're going to Arizona here.
They're going, Arizona and Cubs. Is that what it is?
No, Arizona 3 on the road, home Thursday for the Cubs for 4.
Right. So you got 7 games against teams that quote unquote you should beat. But we
got to go at least. You should be able to go 5-2, but they probably.
But they won't. They won't.
They'll be lucky to go 4-3.
Oh, I bet you they'll be 3-4.
If that's the case, you sell and you seriously, consider fire. But I don't know if there's no heat. someone was right who said that Bear needs to put heat on Farhan. If Farhan's not feeling any heat, nothing's happening.
I mean,
he has
how many years left does Farhan have on his deal?
One.
I mean, also, can I just say, I'm going to come out in defense of ownership here.
Where are they in the standings right now? Can we take one quick peek at that?
Yeah,
they're 48 and 47, and
where are they in the wild card? Let's take a look at this.
2 back.
They're 2 back in the wild card. But the thing about it is it's the way this thing is structured with the extra playoff team. You could be the Giants in this delusion mode for every single year, which will never allow you to accelerate your rebuild by turning over some of your quality veterans. The same guys that have value today may not have value in a month.
Oh, the other guy I would trade. You guys remember Steve Pearce in the 18 World Series?
Yeah. Great professional hitter.
Yeah, he was a first baseman outfielder. You know who reminds me of him? Who would be a great addition
for the White Sox?
No. Who would be a great addition for a contending club?
Brandon Drury?
No, on our club. It's Steve Pearce all over again. It's Darren Ruff. He would be a great acquisition.
You're going to trade big Darren Ruff?
He's a free agent after this year, and he's 36.
I'll tell you another guy just based on the numbers, and I would love to trade this guy because I think he's not as good as his numbers, is Austin Slater. Austin Slater's got a 400 on base, and he's hitting 293. And don't tell me, when was the last time that guy came through with big hits? I mean, come on. To me, he does not come up big in big moments. And I think he's overrated as a defensive center fielder.
He did get asked pretty hard when we didn't. Lara, when we were both not on Saturday. I mean, that call was freaking. Not that we would have won the game.
Strike 3, the low ball.
Yeah, that was BS.
Yeah, it was a bad call.
I mean,
Carol T donates $4.99 just for being Carol T. Just because she's Carol
Martinez.
T. Nick Martinez. Nick just donated $5 just because Nick is Nick.
Nick is another one in there. I thought there was another $2 one in there.
Was there another one? We want to make sure we don't miss. Yeah, MF donates $1.99. He says Cueto having a solid year this year.
Yeah, I mean, but they made the right decision moving on with.
Yeah, for sure.
So I mean, the Giants are in a real quandary because they don't have any young guys that are really, exciting, athletic. I mean, you probably got Gonzalez and Estrada are the top 2 guys, and Bart.
And I like VR. I like the way VR. I like his ABs. He's hitting like 200, but he's got like a 405 on base.
Okay, so there's 4 guys that we're seeing in the lineup: Bart, VR, Gonzalez, and Estrada. Now to me, it's time to bring up Diaz, Longoria, La Stella. Those guys are just, they're too old and they're injured too often, and you just need to move on. They're not going to be better next year because they're healthier. Okay,
all right, we've got one soldier battling in the comments, and I respect it. Because he's getting ripped on. So Robert Rothberg, he still has confidence they're going to straighten it out. He doesn't understand why people are conceding the season. People are calling him out. Let's all give the most positive.
Well, I'm glad that somebody's backing him. I mean,
Hey, we saw their best baseball just before the break, and they were 7-2. They had 2 great comebacks, 2 big 13-0 and 12-0 win, a Rodon complete game, 12 strikeout game. They had their best 9-game stretch of the year, and they kind of were bringing us hope. And they still have that in them. What we're saying is that something's got to change from the organization, whether it's Gabe or Farhan down. It's got to change because the way they're running the club, it's just they're losing the veterans. You're taking out Brandon Belt in a key situation, a guy who hit
trade him if you're gonna do that.
I mean, seriously. Brandon Belt hit an 18th inning home run. I know it was 7-8 years ago. He hit a triple in the game 4 deciding against Detroit Tigers in that one. He went 2 for 4 against the Royals. This is a guy that comes through in big situations. He knows how to do it. And what do you do in a tie game with 2 men on? You pinch hit for him with a guy that's been up for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's another spin zone that has no factual basis, but just it's the kind of baseball argument maybe someone could make. The Giants had the worst 18-game stretch in 2 years after they swept the Dodgers. So now we got swept by the Dodgers. Who knows?
Mark Graves says Rothberg is Kapler in disguise.
Well,
I don't know about that. Nick Martinez, no one is conceding even if they get into the playoffs. What does that mean? They ain't doing jack in the playoffs. I kind of agree with Nick. Like, let's be real here. The one thing I kind of like about this show is we try to keep it real. So I'm not trying to be overly negative. I'm just, I'm rooting for them to do well. All right. It's believe me, everybody does well media wise when teams do well. So this whole idea, you guys are rooting against them. Nobody's rooting against anybody. I mean, seriously, follow the money. Almost every time a team does well, the Warriors just had an extended playoff run. We all did quite well on that. Ronald BBX, I'd love nothing more than to be optimistic right now. I just don't know if I see it with this team. Interesting. I threw out the Twitter question. I said, who's most to blame for the Giants being a hot mess in 2022? And there are comments here as well, but 17% right now, you get 800 votes. 17% say Kapler. 26% blame the players. 22% blame the ownership. 35% blame Farhan. 35% of the people say this is on Farhan. What do you guys put it on before we go any further?
I put zero blame
on. Who's it most on?
It's the most on Farhan because he has the most control. But I will say this. I think that I actually give 0% blame to the ownership because the ownership is doing what I want ownerships to do and what good ownership does in professional sports. And that's they bring in a guy who they decide they have trusted and they're going to trust and they're going to give them leeway and they're going to let them do their thing and they're not going to meddle. I appreciate the 49ers for doing that with Shanahan, sticking with it, letting them have full control of everything. I appreciate the way the Warriors do model a little bit.
So, Ryan, if I could interject, yes. How do you reconcile the fact that they're spending a lower percentage of their revenue than the Dodgers are? And if they spent the same percentage of revenue, they would have 19 or $20 million more players on this current roster. I got to blame the ownership for that because why should, you own your own ballpark. You're incredibly wealthy. You should be spending commensurate with your revenue and commensurate with your competition and their revenue. They can spend more because they make more, but you got to at least, it's one thing to allow them to spend more because they make more.
Yeah,
but you should be spending the same ratio that they're spending, or you are giving away a competitive advantage. And to me, if you put $20 million more of player payroll on the field, I still think LA's better. But I think the margins are a lot closer.
What I would say is, my guess in what Farhan's thinking is, because I think this really is up to Farhan on what he wants to spend, and I think what he realizes is that if he went out and got a big fat contract for someone that ended up, being injured or just ended up turning into kind of a crappy player, older player,
like a Tommy LaStella, let's say.
Okay, but like if let's say he brought in Schwarber,
like an Anthony DiSclafani, who's done for the year.
But like, imagine if he brought in Schwarber or signed Chris Bryant for 6 years. He did the whole contract, and then Chris Bryant's injured this whole year, and he's never really the same. That's the move that gets you fired, 100%.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know what the role is of the owners. Have the owners capped Farhan? Or is Farhan have leeway to go to up to 200 million? What's the line that ownership says this is it?
Nobody's ever really aggressively gotten in the face and demanded that answer.
Because that's your answer. Because if ownership is capped, Farhan,
everybody covers everybody's ass. So the owners say Farhan's got enough to compete with. Farhan says these owners have given me enough to compete with.
Right. Everybody covers everybody.
MF $4.99 donation. MF, look at that. He says Patrick Bailey and Hunter Bishop. Bailey's hitting 179. Bishop's hitting 229. Why do we trust Farhan as a scout? Bring back Robert Evans and Sabes. They can scout.
Hey, who was it that challenged? That's a good comment there. Bring back Robert Evans and Sabes. I don't want to see Sabes. I love Sabes. Evans, I'm not sure about his ability.
It's not that I think Farhan's doing a terrible job. I think Farhan's a bright guy. I just think that a couple things. One, I think there's a total belief that these moves on the edges, the edge of the 40 man and the edge of the 25 man, like that's the end all be all. And I think there needs to be a little bit more meat and potatoes in the meal than just all the garnish. So I think that's partly on Farhan, I think. And then also we haven't seen Farhan draft and develop and promote anybody. I said it was VR. VR was a Sabian pick.
Really? So, oh, that's interesting. So Farhan has 0.
He's got 0. He's got 0 right now.
Wow, that's amazing. So
and that maybe why we see Kyle Harrison promoted aggressively.
Yeah. Hey, I said last night when I did the show, Harrison was, in my opinion, Farhan's one of his most brilliant moves because he drafted underslot guys at 1 and 2 in Bailey and I think it was Mikulski, and I'm trying to remember the draft. But
how's Bailey looking right now? Right now, Bailey's hitting 179 in the minors.
My point is my point. That's not my point. My point is that he drafted Harrison in the 3rd round because everybody thought he was going to UCLA. So Farhan drafted 2 guys under slot, paid him under slot, and used the money to pay Harrison 1st round money. And that's why Harrison decommitted from UCLA and signed with the Giants.
No, I get it, Danny. I understand. This is as Harbaugh would say, this is ground that's been plowed many, many times. I get it. They paid under slot for Bailey so they could pay over slot to buy Harrison out of his UCLA commit, and it worked. So good for them. Now they've got this great 2nd round pick, but right now they also have a bust of a 1st round pick.
We'll see. I mean, Bailey has a lot of people are pretty high in baseball on Bailey, but I want to mention in the chat here.
We'll say he's good.
MF says should have hired Ned after 2018. Well, the Giants wanted to go the Dodgers way, which was where Ned was, which was a different way of doing baseball. Ned, it was more on the line of Sabian.
It's funny. I asked Ned about what's the key to, because he was there when they drafted all these guys, Seager, Kershaw, Bellinger. He was the guy who drafted these guys. Now, obviously, it wasn't just him, but I asked him, what do you think? You saw the Giants process, Ned. I said, you obviously ran the Dodger process. What was the major difference? And, he was trying not to be in any way critical of anybody with the Giants, but he did make a point to say that they did really deep investigations with the Dodgers on who the people were behind the players.
Yeah.
So they had a real good feel for who Clayton Kershaw was. They had a real good feel for who, all their guys were. And they promoted a number of guys with pretty good characters. So that was Corey Seager. I mean, he said, we really found out about the person, and he thought that was a key to the process. So,
super key. Any good GM in any sport will tell you that. That's like one of the most, that's literally, I think, why they took Trey Lance, because of his character.
I think it's he had a huge factor. I think Giants Niner fan donates $5. He says, Farhan just acquired Ben Bowden. When does the dumpster diving stop? I'm done. Is that true? Can you guys look that up?
I'm looking that up. I'm trying to find who Ben Bowden is. Is that Bobby Bowden's son from Florida State?
I've never heard of Ben Bowden.
Speaks for all of us. Robert, your perfectly reasonable optimism is enraging. We need irrational hate and lots of it. Guys, do you want to move on to the other angry topic of the day, Barry Bonds?
Yeah, one quick thing here. I want to say something on the.
Thank you. From the Rays. All right, so
chat here.
The Giants. One quick thing, guys. Wait. Hold on. Giants acquired Ben Bowden from the Rays. There isn't any word on what the Rays, when he'll make his return to the NL West. Spent the majority of his career in the Rockies organization. Colorado drafted him 45th overall in 2016. His development was slowed by 2 seasons. 2017, He was lost to injury, and obviously 2020 was canceled in the minor leagues. So he's a left-handed pitcher. He eventually reached the majors in 2021. He had a 6.56 ERA over 35 2/3 out of the Rockies pen, a 23.7% strikeout rate, an 11.9% walk rate. Control problems have been an issue for him for much of his career. He's had an 11.56 walk rate in the 168 2/3 in the minor leagues. He's also got plenty of strikeouts. He's got a solid 3.42 ERA to show for his time in the minors. He said the 2022 season could be a microcosm of his inconsistency. He had an 8.22 ERA in 7 2/3 at AAA with the Rockies, and then had a 2.45 ERA at AAA Durham after he was claimed by Tampa in April. So that's interesting. He's got a ridiculous walk rate, and they designated him for assignment in May, and then outrighted him off their 40-man when he cleared waivers. So the Giants passed on him in waivers earlier this year. But he's shown enough potential. They say it's easy to understand why the Giants, a club with a proven knack for developing pitchers, would have interest. I mean, that was the other one today. I mean, think about it. Don't you think that this game, Marty actually was tweeting or texting back and forth with me in this one. This was the game where you probably could have used a Jake McGee and needed a hard throwing lefty. The Giants are very, if you look at their pen, what do they have for lefties in the pen? They've got Harleen Garcia, right? And now they have no Alvarez. And who's their other lefty? They have Sam Long. That's it. It's Harleen Garcia and Sammy Long is their only lefties out of the pen.
Did you see who picked up McGee?
No. Oh, Tampa?
No, Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, so he'll come back when the Giants play them in Milwaukee.
So they needed another lefty. I mean, their lefty, because of Alvarez and McGee kind of, backsliding, they need another lefty. So, that definitely goes along with what Marty was commenting on earlier to me in the text. But, that's just like Farhan to look at this team and say, we have to make some kind of deal pickup for some total mediocre lefty on the perimeter of a big league career, when in reality, you've got minor league guys everywhere you turn. You know what I mean? You got all kinds of guys that aren't that are up. And I mean, you DH'd a minor league backup catcher today. I mean, and you respond to that with a lefty reliever pickup. It's like, what? Wake me when it's over.
It's not like they've done it once with him as a DH. He's been the DH like 3 or 4 times now.
MF donates $4.99. He says, I'm sick of picking up DFA'd guys and not signing big name guys. Going to games this weekend made me realize the Dodgers are on another level. I mean, they're so thoroughly outclassed by the Dodgers right now that it makes last year look like the most amazing, hoodoo act of all time. I mean, that last year is like easily the biggest aberration I think I've ever seen in all my years watching baseball.
And what happened a couple of weeks ago, I said the Dodgers own us, and I took grief for that they own us right now. And I was talking about going forward. And you see their development. They've got a tremendous minor league system. They're drafting in the late 20s every year, and they're still bringing up guys before the Giants were drafting guys in the first.
It was a bad sign when the Giants were going to the Padlo, Fairchild thing early on in the year.
I like this call.
What's this one? This one last year, the Giants won 107 games because the season before was shortened. And the old players recovered and had one great last season. It was rested great players.
I think that's a lot of
older players. Yeah, that's a really good point, Nick.
Good point. Plus, Buster was coming off.
It also shows you how great Buster really was.
Yeah.
There should be, there should be a new stat, wins, WYNNS above replacement. And whatever we win this year compared to last year, you do the minus, and then that's what Buster's
I want to pull this back up.
Somebody actually on Twitter earlier today was still trying to push this. They've sucked since they got rid of Debon. Can we please please lose that? Debon is a nobody, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody.
Hey, he's not. Let me pull this up.
Their season did not swing on the Debon move.
Yep, for sure. I'm going to pull this up again. I know we read this, but Mark Hope challenged anybody to beat 28. I think MF. I haven't totaled your total donations today, but we can't just go off of one big one. I think we got to make a battle between Hope and MF and see who's got the most so far, and see if we can kind of play against each other a little bit, and see if you might have to step it up a little bit, Hope, because I think MF might have you beat in total money with several smaller donations.
Tony says, Larry, can you unblock me from Twitter? Tony, I will say this, Tony. I like everybody in the chat, but if I blocked you on Twitter, I'm not sure if I like you. You know what I mean? Because I don't block people on Twitter for nothing. So, Tony, I will unblock you from Twitter, but you need to provide for me the last tweet you had to me, and then we'll review it, discuss it. I'll throw it to Danny. I'll throw it to Rye, and the three of us will decide if you will be unblocked. Tony, you have to provide for me what tweet you said to me that got you blocked. So is that fair? If you can tell me what you said to me that made me block you, I'll revisit it with Dan and Rye. And even if I still think you should be blocked, if Dan and Rye feel you should be unblocked and that I'm being too sensitive, you will be unblocked. Now, granted, if Mark Graves comes in and says, I think you should still be blocked, I'll have to consider it.
Well, and what if Mark Graves mutes Dan during the vote?
What's that?
What if Mark Graves mutes Dan during the vote?
But do I think that's fair? Before I just universally say, yeah, I'll unblock you. Yeah, what the hell? I'll unblock you. I block people for a reason. And generally, it's because I feel like you said something to me that either crossed a line or that I really don't feel like you would say if you were standing right here.
I got his tweet right here. I think this is what it was. It says, Larry, you are a lousy neighbor, and your neighbor is really a nice guy. You are the problem.
Well, that you can come back in. If it's just about the neighbor.
All right, I did some crude math.
So, Tony, get back to us on that. Get back to us. As Jim Calhoun once said, get your facts and get back to me. Get your facts. Get your tweets.
I think
and throw it at us, and we will evaluate. And if we feel that you should be unblocked, damn it, you'll be unblocked, and it will happen as soon as tonight.
I think MF is over $35.
He's donated for another $4.99. He says, I'm sick of picking up.
We already did that one. We did that one. So he's over 35. So Hope is trailing 35 to 28, and we're entering the fourth quarter here.
You know what?
35-28.
Oh, wow. MF is running up the score. MF is kind of doing moves like Kapler last year. Like,
do we have people trying to top each other as far as donations in the chat?
MF's now at like 43 or something.
$4.99 says, why not bring back Donnie Solano? He could hit. I thought he was Farhan's version of Chris Taylor. I agree.
I loved him.
I thought Donnie Solano, Donnie Barrels,
damn
good hitter.
Him for nothing.
He was not a good fielder, but I mean, he's probably better than Flores.
I know. And how many guys on this team even have nicknames anymore? I mean, we had Donnie Barrels. I was telling Dan earlier that I was trying to think of one for Mercedes if he keeps it going. I was thinking maybe G-Wagon.
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 Hemi 5.7.
We get this MJ says, Gabe said he ran everything last year by Buster. Yeah, and what did Buster say no every time? Hey, I think we ought to do this. What do you think Buster would have said if what do you think Will Clark would have said if he was the manager and Gabe came to him and said, hey, I'm thinking about Wins DHing? What? Buster Wins? What?
I think you
could probably do a better Will.
No, that's pretty good.
No, I'll be Gabe. Where's do I have sunglasses? No. Yeah, let's see.
Put your fake beard on too. You need a fake beard. Show your tats.
I didn't even shave today.
There you go.
Will, I'm thinking about going with Austin Wins as a DH today. What? I'm thinking about DHing a dub.
What? Did he get sent down? Is he in Sacramento? He's teaching.
Danny.
Here's another one. Gabe comes up to Will or Buster. Hey, I got a belt coming up.
Larry, was Danny that tweeted you that comment about Dubon? Seriously.
How about these Solano stats? I didn't even realize that he had that good of a batting average.
The year before, he had the 320, didn't he?
This is from 2019 through this year, 308.
Yeah, he's a good hitter.
330, 326, 280, 313.
The guy's a good hitter.
He's Donnie Barrels. He puts the barrel on the ball.
Anybody whose nickname is Barrels. I mean, if your name's something Barrels, you probably can hit. Yeah. Have you noticed that? They don't call anybody Barrels who's like hitting 184.
We should call Austin Barrels.
Yeah.
So
Austin wins a lottery and gets a month-long stint in the bigs.
Seriously, like is Austin Wins Kapler's illegitimate son or something? That's what it's like.
Seriously.
MF, another donation. Training camp question. Is Larry going to talk to Tim Ryan about coming on the Krueg show? Would love to hear Tim on a platform other than KBR. I promise you I will. Tim's my guy. So I can't promise you exactly what day, but I like this. I will get him on.
I like this as his name. Where'd it go? It just
Austin Whiffs.
Austin Whiffs. There it is. Oh gosh, that's great. Austin Whiffs. That's the name. He looked.
How about anonymous? Yeah, but Donnie Solano's no Papirski.
That's true. I mean, Papirski has provided a lot of content.
I mean, yeah, he's been.
What are you thinking if you're Dubon? You get traded for a guy who lasts like another 10 days. They really didn't want you.
Yeah, that's a.
I mean, seriously, that is almost like the Billy Bean. You got to fill Hey, I'll take Papirski and just fill my soda machine for the rest of the year. I need soda. I don't want my guys paying for soda in the clubhouse. Like I'll take Papirski, Eckerton. Do Eckerton? Yeah, Eckerton. No, give me Papirski. Yeah, Papirski. Papirski will be fine, and you're paying soda in my clubhouse the rest of the year. I want my guys paying for soda. Yeah, I'll take Papirski.
I'm going to look this up real quick. You got me thinking about the salary. I'm wondering if that was just getting rid of him was just because they didn't want the salary.
SC Baller 2187. I need to get on with you guys. Give us a call. You can call in. Yeah, we'll take some video calls. SC Baller 2187. Give him the video call link. Maybe he wants a video call.
Well, let's start out with some phone calls, and if that doesn't get traction, let's do video.
I love the video calls though. 199 is Matt Barrows married? Yeah, thank you, MF. Yeah. Ask is Matt Barrows married? What the hell?
Only 715.
Brandon Graham, your mean looks like he doesn't miss a soda. Peak athletic perfection. He's a baseball player. I don't care. Babe Ruth was like the best.
Yeah, look at Panda. I mean,
yeah,
he was a
Panda rakes
player.
Forever. Panda's gonna be hit until he's gonna be like 58 and like some league and some winter ball he's gonna be ripping. Your mean can hit. I like your mean too. I like your mean too.
He's got some spunk to him. He's got charisma.
Yeah, he's got some fire. He's not Wins. Wins is a no tool guy. Your mean is a hitter. He's a hitter. What's that? Is Danny frozen?
Austin Wins.
That's Wins' face. That is kind of Austin Wins' face.
This is Dan Coccimilgio up here on the top. He watches a lot of baseball. I got to move Danny into the main screen here.
Wow, batting stance guys on the hot seat.
Oh, look at that! Look at that! Austin Wins, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
it's a good look. That's a good look, Dan. Should we go 3 or should we go like this kind of a 3 and then move people around? I can't have Dan in the main spot.
Austin Wins.
It's too big of a hit on my ego.
I actually even tweeted out today. I said, because I tweeted out. I
noticed that you've become quite the media celebrity. Hey, by the way, Danny did a solo show last time. We didn't even talk about that. How did it go? Did you get some donations? Did you get some?
Got a few donations. And I saw the hits on it. Romo was a guest host.
And how long did you guys go? You guys got like 600 views, huh? Maybe 800.
Yeah, we went 888 or something. I don't remember what it was.
Damn. Look at that. I don't remember 888.
Hour and a half we went, and Romo was 888. Romo was a guest host, and the reason he was a guest host that you guys need to be a part of is you want to become part of the membership. So let's play this.
Nice. I like that. I like the music. I
think rolling in ads, authentic ad reads.
If I told you guys that was the song my wife and I danced to at our wedding, would that surprise you?
Were you doing like backflips?
It was a little bit of a quicker dance, but it was kind of cold. Other people are picking love songs. We wanted something kind of with a beat, something you could really kind of move to.
There we go. I want to hear Ryan's. Ryan hasn't done his song that he sang yesterday at the wedding. We know Ryan. Ryan is going to all these weddings. He's a closet singer, and he hasn't told us about it. And he's going all over Southern California, being invited to all these weddings. Let's hear your version of "Perfect" from Ed Sheeran. Come on, number one wedding song.
Man, what was Dan? What was the song we were trying to get Dan to sing?
Don't stop believing. No, Superstition.
Don't stop believing. Don't stop believing. Don't stop believing.
But come on, I want to hear Perfect. You can just do a solo. You don't even need the music.
MF donates. Wait a second. We're going to go to Raider Rob here. Raider Rob's in the green room kicking some ass. Raider Rob, don't eat all of our food. And I see the smoke coming out underneath the door. So do not blow out our green room.
Where's the tats? I see the tank top there. Where's the tats?
But wait a second. We'll go to him in just a second. Raider Rob's on the on deck circle. MF donates $9.99. He says, I'm going to miss Larry on the pre and post game Niners games this year. Hopefully there are Krueg shows after Niner games. Would love to hear Matt Barrows come on as well. Hey, MF, you ain't going to miss anything, buddy, because we are going to be all over 49er football, and you're going to want it locked on this station and 95.7 The Game. I will be doing Niner pregame on 95.7 The Game. The details still yet to be 100% worked out as far as who will be joining me on that coverage, but you can bank on me doing 95.7 The Game pregame Niners. As far as postgame goes, we're going to do postgame on this channel. We're going to have a roundtable, postgame roundtable, and we're confirming some different people. I only want the best of the best. It will be me. It will be Rye. Danny's always involved, always invited to anything we do. And but other than that, I know my man Raj, who's I'm a big fan of. He's got a huge audience on the IG. He's going to join us, and I'd love to have Brad Graham. I'd love to have Jack Hammer. I'd love to have John Chapman. I'd love to have some of those guys. Vish. Love to have all those guys. Basically,
probably forgetting one of the biggest guys, though.
Kyle Posey is definitely going to be on with us. Who's that?
We grew up with a Sunday dinner.
Pasquale Batanti will be there. Yeah. So anyway, you absolutely need to check me out on 95.7 The Game pregame. I'm also hopefully going to be doing a regular hit with Sal Castaneda on KTVU. That will be on the TV side on the pregame. We'll do the postgame on our channel and blow the thing out.
Alex
Boone's going to be in the house. That's right, the Boonster. I'll be doing a podcast with the Boonster, and I'm super freaking fired up about that because Boone's the man. So we'll be all over the Niner stuff, and we'll be bringing it to you start to finish.
What this show is going to be coming. You're just days away, guys, from some amazing content down at 49ers training camp. Tell all your 49er buddies who may not be in this chat because they're not Giants fans. Tell them what's going on because they're going to want to be in on the ground floor of this. You're talking right now.
Believe me, starting Wednesday, you'll figure it out. We're gonna have lots of interviews, lots of video, lots of audio, lots of me and Rye down at camp breaking it down.
Dishing out Hormel meals to some of the players after practice.
Exactly. It's gonna be a goddamn party. You're not gonna want to miss it.
Don't want to miss it. But this channel's
Matt Barrows' point. I'd love to have Matt Barrows come on as well because I may have some he may be able to get me a gig at his wedding. You know.
There you go. MF
You should be
donates
singing that one.
$4.99. He says, "I've been a KMBR guy my whole life. No longer. I'm switching to 95.7 The Game just to listen to Larry do Niner pregame." There you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
and,
I would
starting
invite you
next
all to
week,
make the switch.
Where are we at subscribers right now? A little about 5,200, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Something like that. Nick Martinez says, once Larry left, I've only listened to KMBR 70 minutes total. Well, that's 70 minutes too long.
So you're looking at over 10,000 members here shortly, guys. Once this
the channel's blowing up.
It'll
And
on our way
note,
to 50.
On that,
let's bring in Raider Rob, who's
What are you
taking
drinking there, Raider Rob? What do you
Raider
got there?
Rob, how are you, bro?
Pretty good. How are you guys doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing great.
I
We're
want to
doing
know what
great.
you were drinking, though. What was that you were drinking?
It's just water, maybe a little bit of lemon.
Color,
maybe?
had a little color in it. I think I saw
I
some
got a
color.
little White Claw going on.
Oh, look at
nice.
you! Look at that. It's good for the demographics. All of our, if this were a radio show, he'd be having like a scotch and soda, but
Yeah,
because it's
scotch.
a YouTube show, he's got the White Claw.
The White Claws are sneaky because you can play them off as sparkling water. You can play them off as traditional water.
Notice my lid today, guys. I went with the gray lid with the 49ers.
Yeah.
Kind of matched a little bit the jersey. I took the Giants off. I couldn't put a Giants hat on today after getting
Yeah,
swept
they've
in
always
LA.
said you're a fair weather guy.
I'm not a fair weather guy. Just can't
Dan,
feel it.
All right.
You're more of a fair style.
Let's get some thoughts from Raider Rob, who joins us via the video phone. So, Raider Rob, are you enjoying the live stream today?
I'm enjoying the live stream today. There's a little too much Niner talk for my liking. No, I'm just kidding. At the same time, I can't wear any Giants gear as well. Just it's very, very tough. I'm a diehard Giants fan, and the lineup that we keep running out day in and day out, it's tough. It's tough to watch. We know what we're accustomed to. We got Barry Bonds. We got World Series titles. We got spending money. It's the lowest payroll since Pedro Feliz was our 4-hitter. Like, what is going on? And there's no criticism of Farhan, which is my biggest point here, is that he's tried his hardest. I don't want to give him too much, bad words here, but at the same time,
That's actually a little more insulting. He's tried his hardest.
No, he's trying his hardest.
Yeah.
And
No, I
where
agree.
we're at, and we got Mookie Betts hitting home runs against us. We don't have a superstar. There's no money
We don't
being
even have a
spent.
star. Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, who am I going to buy my kids' jerseys for? Logan Webb, but is it going to be
I've already-
included? Photos,
Raider
right?
Rob, I was saying, forget jerseys. You wouldn't even think to buy a jersey. You know,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't buy one of those jerseys. It would be like, I don't want to invest. Those guys are going to be gone before before 2 months. Yeah, the Giants are in kind of a transition period, and it's weird. It's like they went from a scouting, background, and obviously Sabes and Evans, and they were trading picks, trading, prospects for older players, trying to kind of keep the thing going. And the last trade, I think, was awful. The McCutcheon, Brian Reynolds trade, that one's obviously is really bad. And so they need to go in a new direction. I think we all kind of felt that. And then Farhan's really, really bright. And so we always kind of feel good, especially in Northern California, of investing in like brain power, because we kind of all believe that smart people do smart things. And so I think we all wanted to just give him the initial, and then the initial confidence. Then you mix in how glib he is. Then you mix in this last year where they got to 107, and it's like miraculous that they got there. But this year's backslide, combined with the fact that no young prospects seem to be percolating to the majors like anytime soon, kind of makes Farhan experience a little bit of pressure. At least he should be feeling a little bit of pressure. But this media here is so wrapped up in this love affair, and he's so smart that nobody feels either capable or willing to in any way, say the emperor has no clothes. I'm willing to do it in this setting because, one, I've got confidence in what I'm watching is not what I need to be watching. And two, I just feel like, there is a limit to the number of years that you get before you're starting to have your feet held to the fire. I didn't want to hold his feet to the fire early on because I saw a lot of those bad contracts, but I'm looking for the creative 3-team deals. And I'm looking for, that Will Wilson where they took on Cozart's money and picked up Will Wilson. That deal's really cool if Will Wilson can play. But right now, to date, he can't. And so if you're the owners, you're like, well, you spent $13.7 million of our money for a prospect that's maybe a combo second baseman, third baseman in 2023 or 4. I don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? So Farhan needs that move that's not Yaz, that's not waiver wire, that's significant and it's in the draft, that he needs to have successes in the draft. And it's year 4. And there was a pandemic, and the minor leagues were shut down. All these things need to be taken into account. But I think we're right about there where we need to expect, or we should be expecting, some graduation of Farhan drafted prospects to the major leagues. And we're not seeing it. And more alarming is it doesn't seem like it's on the horizon. And then I haven't seen those creative trades, and this offseason felt almost like neglect when you say goodbye to Bryant, Posey, Solano, and you don't bring in anybody. I think you could if Posey really had all this hidden value that all these baseball people talk about, and I was one of them, he does this well and that well, then you knew losing him was going to be felt even more than his stats say, right? If he's better than his stats, when you lose him, you should, in theory, be losing somebody who's better than their stats. So you knew it was going to be painful. But where's the young players? Why is Hunter Bishop not an Eastern League All-Star? Why is Elliot Ramos still in the minor leagues? Why is Sean Jelly can't be used and all these other guys can't be used? Where's Will Bednar, who was a very polished college starter? He should be on the verge of the big leagues. Is he? I didn't seem like he is. So I think just Farhan's time frame is starting to mean that he needs to start. He should start to feel the pressure, because the expectations, he's been given a big payroll, high expectations, and total control. It's time to produce results. And I don't think I'm knee jerk. I think year 4 is an okay time to say, hey, what results do you have?
So Raider Rob, you've been a Giants fan for how long?
I would say since I was 5-6 years old.
You've seen the World Series championships, you've seen the rough years, and okay. So looking at this roster right now, who do you see as a keeper and someone that will stay on this roster 2 years from now in 2024? Is there anybody on this roster that will be on the roster in 2024?
So that's my biggest problem with it, is because, like Larry was just saying, like, Farhan's had 4 years to do this. He's had first round draft picks. He's got the Hunter Bishops of the world. He's got all these players, and they're all hitting sub 230 in the minors. Like, they're all struggling. There's no one on the cusp of coming in. And I would say the only guy that I could say I'm going to buy my kid a jersey for is Logan Webb. But then now he's rumored in the Juan Soto, rumors. And, I'm thinking about that because this could be a Barry Bonds, Pittsburgh Pirates type of trade where you got to think about everything and be realistic. But at the same time, it's like, he's the only guy that I see 2 years down the road where he could be the ace of his staff. I really like Rodon, but they gave him the out after 1 year. So,
right. So you've got Webb, maybe. You might, I guess.
Well, give you an example. Just give you an example. I'm sorry to cut you off there, Danny, but give you an example. Like, here's a creative deal. You sign Rodon to a 2-year deal instead of going 5 with Gausman at 22. You go 2 for 44 with Rodon. The creative move is not that. The creative move is then pawning Rodon at the deadline for some team's top prospect, and then maybe competing for Rodon in the offseason to try to bring him back. That's the creative use. That's the creative move. That's the Chapman, aggressive move.
That's the Yankees move with Chapman.
Yeah, and that's a creative move. And I want to see creative moves. I want to see Farhan takes a little bit more aggressive approach to building this thing.
For sure. And there's not a move that he's done. I mean, I feel like the Chris Bryant trade wasn't something that he would do typically from what he's done historically with the Giants in particular. But the Chris Bryant move was like the pressure of the fans. We're right there. We're about to make the playoffs. Like, if you don't make that move, you are just going to have a wave of people just hating and not respecting what you're doing. So he did that. We came down to the strike 3, quote unquote, but at the same time, like he did make a move, but I just want to see more firepower. I mean, like I said, it's the lowest payroll. You came off 107 wins. You lost Chris Bryant. You lost Buster Posey. You know, those are 2 main cogs in your lineup. That's 3, 4, maybe 5. And at the same time, you know, you got to spend a little bit. I know the guy that I really wanted was Nicholas Castellanos. He's struggling with Philadelphia. Bryce Harper has a broken hand. There's a lot of weird stuff going on there, you know, fights in the locker room with the reporters, you know, that kind of thing. But I think that, you know, a 30-year-old that can do 315 to 25 with a 300 batting average and 100 RBIs, that's what we need in this lineup. And that's the thing that we are truly missing. And every day, like you said, there's no one that's challenging him in interviews, and it's just all like laughing and games. And
imagine if this was imagine if this market was, let's even talk about the Phillies. I mean, the Phillies had Kepler. It's not like they were horrible, but like if this was an East Coast market, the amount of pressure that would be on these guys, they would be unacceptable to have Austin Wynns out there. And here's another thing, going back to the draft, like this is what I didn't like the draft move, or I didn't like the draft picks this year, because you know what? Those are the kind of moves that the Golden State Warriors can make. Teams that have equity and have shown they can draft, they're allowed to take gambles. What the hell are we doing gambling in the first round and the second round? And Dan, I agree with the Kyle Harrison thing. Seems like it's great, but still, I mean, I don't know. Do we have to take?
You're talking about the Reggie Crawford pick. I don't have a problem with it, because at 30, you're lucky to get a guy. It's a crapshoot at that point. I mean, so many guys flame out in baseball. Go with the upside at that pick. I mean, if you're picking in the top 10, no, you don't take Reggie Crawford. You don't take a gamble. You try and take a sure thing. But this guy,
it's like a guy that has 8 pitches in his career,
but he's hurt. He's coming back, just like Dustin May coming back. The guy's throwing 99 now in a rehab game. He'll be back in a month or 2 with the Dodgers. And you know, guys that come off Tommy John surgery generally have stronger arms a year and a half, 2 years later.
Michael Garcia says, so sick to have a caller that knows what he's talking about. Look at you. Raider Rob's getting some love from the chat. The chat's, you know, throwing love your way.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Rick.
Hey, one thing that, like, my friends and I, we're all diehard Giants fans. The draft comes around. It's an exciting time. And the go-around kind of joke that happens every year is Farhan going to take another catcher? So, you know, it's crazy to us that all this talent's out there. You know, he did draft a 2-way player coming off Tommy John. It may be great, but there's solidified picks that you can take in the first round that are going to become a player, a rotational player. If it's a pinch hitter, if it's, you know, it's someone off the bench, if it's someone you got to have. When you draft in the first round, you got to get someone that's going to be a piece of your team or a piece of a big trade. And we just haven't felt that. Hunter Bishop's sitting there. Like I said, he has 13 home runs. Yeah, he's a big dude. He's got power. He's hitting 220. I mean, is Farhan going to bring that up? I wanted to see Heliot Ramos come up. He came up and had a great first, you know, couple of games, and then he doesn't hit against righties, so we sent him back down. So, you know, all this hoopla, all this praise about this guy, and then now he's hitting 220 in the minors, and you know, we may not see him again this year. It's, you know,
it's very frustrating. I mean, it's a combination because, you know, so I've had people argue it's about who you draft. Then I've had other people say, you know, it's not really always about who you draft. It's about your developmental people and how well you develop these talents. So there's something's wrong in the Giants pipeline, because they're either consistently picking the wrong guys or, you know, and I will say this, I've talked to many, many people at Baseball America through the years about the amateur draft, and they almost always maintain that the teams that do the best in the draft consistently invest in high school hitters. And if you think about it, the Giants do the exact diametric opposite. They don't invest in high school hitters. They invest in college pitching. Well, then you mix in the fact that wait a second, they can't really attract free agent hitters to their ballpark because the ballpark is a pitching friendly yard. So wait a second, you're not getting the top hitters in free agency. You're not investing your top picks in hitters in the amateur draft. So unless you're trading pitchers for hitters, either guys with upside along the way in the minors or, picking up and making trades like bring in a Juan Soto, when do you ever compete for the best hitters in the game? And I don't know. I don't know that I like pitching. I think pitching's important, but I really believe that offense is a big part of it as well. And I think offense is your team. I think that's who you buy tickets typically to watch the offense. And I think it's a big part of why they seem kind of like a faceless team right now, is that they're kind of a faceless. They don't have an everyday first baseman, second baseman, third baseman, catcher, left fielder, center. So it feels like you've got this mix mash of nothing, and there's no identity. So it's just, I think it's been a failure across the board. Now, how long can you blame Bobby Evans? How long can you blame Sabes? How long can you say the cupboard was bare? How long can you say the contracts were burdensome? It's year 4, man. It's year 4. It's your show now. You know what I mean? Can't blame the last regime. At some point, you got to put on the big boy pants and own it. And I want to hear him own it. And then also I want to see some creativity. Here's what you say to me. You're a Giants fan. What should the Giants do? Okay, I'll tell you what I think they should do. I think they should dump Gabe Kapler, hire Will Clark, hire Ryan Vogelsong, bring back Ron Wotus. That's what they ought to do on the field side. But in the front office side, the Giants are rich. They own their own ballpark into the future. Every dollar, there's no mortgage on that building. It's going to be there for the next 4 decades. If you've noticed, there's a lot of construction south of the ballpark. There's going to be construction south of the ballpark. Wait for it, for the rest of your goddamn life. Why? Because they're going to be developing the eastern waterfront from the ballpark to Candlestick and beyond, all the way to the airport. For our grandchildren will be watching that development. The Giants owners own a lot of that. They're sitting on a monstrous real estate deal. They're enormously rich. What they don't have in huge supply are prospects or major league talent at the major league roster. So, like, if I were running the team, I would say, you know what, Nationals, give me Patrick Corbin, and I'll take Strasburg's $35 million a year. I'll take both those guys, and I'll give you Harrison, and I'll give you Luciano. But guess what? That's where the trade ends. It's Luciano and Harrison. I'll take all your bad money, and you give me Juan Soto. I want to see them use their financial might, which is their greatest resource in the present, to make themselves a winning trade. That's what Joe Lacob would do. That's what smart owners would do. That's what they should do. And I want to see the commitment. Nobody's going to remember if these guys carried $800 million to the grave or $750 million to the grave, but they are going to remember how many titles their Giants won. And so, you know what? Since your investment initially was risky, I understood why the initial 20 years of the ballpark, you had to really kind of be careful with what moves you made. Now you own it outright, and you're developing the city of San Francisco real estate, and there's nothing but money coming your way. I do not want to hear about the price of doing business. It's expensive ballpark, it's expensive entertainment, and you have more money than God. So use some of that money, take on some bad contracts. Don't pay a king's ransom in prospects for Soto, and let's shake this thing up, baby. This thing's dull. The Giants have been worse than this, but they rarely have been more dull than they are right now, and dull doesn't sell. So that would be my game plan, and I think if those things were done, they made those moves that I said make on the baseball field, and they made that investment in some injured arms right now to get Soto at cheaper prospect price, I think the buzz around this franchise would be enormous. Yes. And I think within 2 years, you'd see them pivot from where they're at to right there with LA. And hopefully it's still going to come down to can Farhan and Scott pick winners in the amateur draft. But if they claim they need 2 more years, great. Let's make these moves and buy them a couple more years. That's my plan.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dan.
Go ahead,
sorry
Raider Rob. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I fully agree with Larry. I mean, my family owns season tickets from Santa Cruz, California. We drive up to the games, and we're looking for something entertaining. You know, there's $15 to $20 beers if you're looking for something nice. Otherwise, you spend $11 on a Coors Light. Great. But you got to have something in the lineup. You got to have a 4-hitter. I think Juan Soto fits the bill perfectly. I think, who knows if Kyle Harrison's ever going to be anything. I know he's killing it right now, but Marco Luciano, same thing. Does he come up? Does he hit 220? We don't know. Juan Soto is a World Series winner. He's a 300 hitter. The guy, you could plug him into the 3-hole. He's 23 years old. That's what we need. We need something like that. We need excitement. We need to bring the fans back to the games. I know, and I can speak from,
you're selling hope in sports. Sorry to interrupt. You're selling hope in sports. Yeah. And right now, the Giants either need the player of the future here, or they need their fans to be able to see it. And right now, this whole just trust us in year 4, people are saying, you know what? I don't want to trust you. I don't care about the labor pain. Show me the damn baby. And it's the same thing. It's like, you know what? We need to see the future player. Maybe that player has to be at the major league level. Maybe that player has got to be in the draft, but people need to see. They're not going to keep spending these prices on Danny's an example of a season ticket holder that doesn't want to pay prices. You can't offload your tickets. So people need to see. They need to buy in on hope. And guess what? I think one thing the Giants, I think, are too tough on themselves about. There's a lot of goodwill here. You've won 4 titles. It wasn't that long ago. People remember those titles. They're willing to give you a break if you can show them a young up and coming team that 2 years from now is going to be really good. They'll buy in. They absolutely will.
Exactly.
And this belief that you have to win every year almost prevents them from ever taking that step back. Bye-bye Rodon, bye-bye Brandon Bell, bye-bye Jock Peterson. Prospects come in. People will support the vision, but you have to have faith in your fans.
Yeah, look at how long we waited for Bart and how excited we were when Bart came up.
This is a sophisticated fan base that would buy into a long-term plan. I really believe it.
Larry, you bring a great point about the prospects. If we start getting prospects, everybody's been waiting for Ramos and Bart, right? Yep. People went crazy when Ramos came up in the first week of the season. It was like, oh, he's here, and then he's here for a cameo.
I took off work for it. I left work. I said, I'm sick and I'm coming home, and I'm going home to work to watch Ramos debut. He hits a nice little, couple lines.
Yeah, I was there against, that was the second or third game of the season, right?
And then they sent him right back down. He goes
sent him right back down.
What's the frustrating thing is he hit a ball 110 miles an hour. He hit another ball at 112 miles an hour. Kapler sat him for 3 days in a row, and then they farmed him out.
Yeah, it's
like, can we at least see the guy? Let him. I realize your professional evaluation, guys, is that he's not ready, but can we at least see him fail before we just take your word for it? He did barrel up 2 baseballs harder than anybody else on the team, and we were all there. Can you at least pay us the respect since we saw it?
Larry,
put him in the lineup for a few days and let him go 0 for 4, so then at least we can feel good about sending him out.
Larry.
Instead, they send him out, but they iced him. You don't ice your young players.
What does this say about your prospects? Well, you had him ranked number 1 or 2 for a while. Now, granted he's 5, but what does it say when you have to platoon your top prospect? What does it say about your system? You say, oh, we don't have the guys on the major league roster. So
Danny, we don't know if he would fail because he's never been given the opportunity. I'll tell you, the guy that I'd be deathly afraid to trade is Elliot Ramos, because when I've seen him, he hits the ball rocket hard, and he's got the body type of Willie Mays. He's got a howitzer in the outfield, and it's like, if you trade this guy and he winds up great somewhere, just fire yourself. You know what I mean? Because you're going to be gone shortly. Let me read this one from Mark
Speaking of hope here, we need some hope.
He says, nobody on the roster or in the minors I would not trade for Soto. Webb is overrated. Harrison, Luciano, Ramos, Matos, and company are just guys. Bednar is the guy I want to see on the bump. Farhan's 40-man sucks. Well, you know what? I don't know that you're right, Mark, but I also don't know that you're wrong. I as simple as that. Stephen Copeland 8 donates $4.99. If your ownership, do you clean house this off season?
I start cleaning house next week.
Yes.
Because we got to have a vision one way or the other.
Raider Rob, Danny actually had an idea. you know, and in fact, since Babe Rock says, yes, I agree with Will Clark as manager, Danny says that they had to announce it on Will Clark Day, make him the manager that day.
Wow.
How dramatic would that be?
That'd be sweet.
I'm all in for that because I'm sick of the robotic, you know, PG responses from Gabe Kapler. Like, why did you pull Brandon Belt when his knee is, you know, he just got an injection in his knee and he wants to hit? Well, Brandon Belt, blah 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 blah. No,
Hey, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
You know what? Your kind of somewhat crappy audio actually works into your Kapler impression because it adds to the roboticness.
MF says hire Ned Coletti to clean up this mess.
Yeah, no.
Wow, wouldn't that be something?
I want to see excitement. There needs to be a spark. There needs, whether it be, you know, we clear the minor league system and get a Juan Soto, we pull someone up, we do something where, you know, it's a Tuesday, you know, you're going to work the next day and you need to go to work thinking about this is the move that Farhan Saidi did. Like, there needs to be something big. I'm sick of seeing like interviews where he goes, you know, the fans were going to be really happy to see Cairo Estrada get 500 at bats. If he does well, he's going to be a superstar. No, he's not a superstar. The Yankees released him, for Christ's sake. Like, I'm done with all these weird excuses, and I need to see, you know, I'm paying money for it, so that's why I'm
Yeah,
And,
I'm
it's not cheap. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
Brandon Graham says, preach, Larry. Even John Bowker got a damn weekend of play, so I'll never understand the decision to move Ramos back down. I don't either. Ramos showed me nothing that said, this guy's minor league. Nothing. And yet he came up and he was down. Rebel 444. Larry, how's Willard going to defend this right now? I don't know. Willard's very, very optimistic. He's an optimistic guy.
What about, I mean, honestly, as both of you guys are season ticket holders, I mean, seriously, just for the money you're paying and just your own excitement, I think we can all agree that the Giants are not winning the World Series this year. Maybe there's a chance they get hot and make it you get to watch a playoff series. But aside from that, I feel like it would honestly be more entertaining if we traded Rodon. We traded pretty much everyone, got rid of everyone to the most extreme. And we just brought up all our prospects and say, all right, boys, who can play? Who wants to be a major leaguer? Which of you guys can play? Because right now, I mean, we were calling for David VR for like 3 months, and they've got like 3 or 4 other third basemen that are right behind him that are killing it in the minors. And it's just like, how are we ever going to even know if any of these guys are good if they're not getting chances? If we're going to keep giving chances to 35-year-old journeymen randos?
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
You know,
I think that,
go ahead,
like,
Raider, Rob.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I know I'm on your guys' show, but I've been waiting to get on and just kind of voice this. But, you know, Austin Slater, the guy, he's a solid player. He's a solid backup, but I don't want to see Austin Slater play anymore. Mike Yastrzemski, he's going to turn 32 years old here or 33 years old. Like, he's not part of your future. He's a solid player, but can you move him to get someone that's younger and play? Those are the type of moves that I want to see. I don't want to be a fringe wild card third team and not have any guys that are going to be, you know, are we going to go into next year and then go, Austin Slater's the starting center fielder, Mike Yastrzemski is the starting right fielder, woohoo, here we go again, and then be in the same spot? No, it's time to make a move. I'm sick of all this redundancy and all this weird stuff, and that's
I mean, you know what it's like. It would be like if you it's like if you you know, you knew your house had like a bunch of mold and you're tearing it down to the stuff from the studs and you're rebuilding it, and your contractor just keeps talking to you about decorative pillows, and you're waiting for the real construction to go, hey, are you going to put a frame up on this bad boy? Like, look at these pillows. If you're going to you can put these things in the window, and then people will drive by and they're gonna. And also, you know, you should really get some window coverings, maybe some, like, you know, some nice blinds on the. Where's the goddamn structure? You know, put on a roof. You know, where's the pillars?
Hey,
you know, where's the structure of the home? And that's where a lot of Giants fans. It's like, it's year 4, bro. We need to see the structure of this house that you're building, and you can't show us the beginning of structure. And we're starting to wonder about you because you're the architect. You're the guy who's supposed to build, and we're not seeing even on the framework of what this is going to be. And so now we're starting to get nervous. How much further do we go with this construction, this contractor who's talked a big game and seemed pretty smart, but now he's engaging in decorative pillows and we have no walls, and it's like, that's where I kind of feel like the Giants are. It's like, all these little moves on the margins, that's great, but I need to see the building built. And that means give me a third baseman, give me a first baseman. I could take 2 steps back to take a step forward if the right kinds of moves were being made. Instead, it's this parade of Padlos and Voslers, and it's like, dude, I'm not. This is not the A's. The A's proved they can do one thing. They can develop players in their system, and they can chase away their fan base. Yeah. And is Farhan basically trying to do that here? Right now we have the A's
developing players.
We have the A's minus the prospects. You've basically scared away the fan base because you've made a product that's almost borderline unwatchable, and you're selling hope, and yet you don't have anything you can point to for us to sink our teeth into, and it's a gigantic nothing burger.
Right now, what I'm imagining is Farhan as the architect, that's drawing up all the plans that you hired. Kapler is the head construction worker. He's the head construction worker. He's got all kinds of other construction workers that are all around him. They're all dressed the same way. And every day you walk out there and you're like, can we we're going to work on the foundation today? And instead he's just working. He's like sending guys off to do little jobs, little paint jobs.
Listen to his comments after in the post-game show. This is just a brief part. Not good enough. Really frustrating, Kapler said. A level of play that's just not going to be acceptable for us. There's just no other way to classify it. It was just not good enough. And then it's like this company line, this robotic answer. Yep. Why not, try putting a real lineup out there? Put a guy that's not a career minor leaguer as your designated hitter right after the All-Star break in Los Angeles against your arch enemy rival, and you put in Austin Wynns as your DH when you have a must win. Unbelievable. Did
nobody in the post game, Danny, ask him about Austin Wynns being in the lineup? Is that true? Is that what you're telling me?
I don't know. I'm going to have to look and read through the rest of this article.
I hate calling out other media people because these jobs aren't easy. But come on, that begged the question, right? Come on.
We got another donation here from MF. Is Ned still
interested in being a president of baseball ops? I definitely consider him because of his success with the Dodgers still lasting today. I don't know what Ned's up. Ned's in London right now. He announced his retirement from baseball, so I think he's probably pulled his hat out of the running for a head job. But I'm sure he loves the Giants, and I'm sure he would love to be back in some kind of role. I don't know if there is a role for him, but I'm sure he'd love it if there was. Mark Hope donates $2. Says Ramos going back down was the final straw for me.
Mark, you're going to need to pump in a little bit more to top. What do we got? Who's our MF? I think we ought to put some tickets up on the line. Who can get donation? Maybe tickets to the Cubs this week. I might be offering a couple of tickets if we can get some
donations. You want the biggest donation? You want
the biggest donation?
Auction off the tickets. YouTube expert says, why is Crawford so bad this year? He's 35 years old. This is the career arc of a Major League Baseball player who doesn't take performance enhancing drugs.
Especially a shortstop who's kind of built heavier than most shortstops. He's just. The guy's
and also at this point, Crawford, despite the money he's making, should be a guy who plays 4 days a week and hits 7 or 8 or 9 in your lineup, but plays the hell out of shortstop and is your leader. But he needs to be supported by really good offensive players at other spots. He's done the heavy lifting in past years. He needed somebody else to do the heavy lifting this year, and instead Raider Rob, we talked about this a lot. The Giants do this a lot. They'll take a good player and they'll ask him to do too much. Yep. And suddenly that player is like, wait, Darren Ruff is a perfect example. Last year he got 225 at-bats. He had a good year. This year he's already surpassed all of his at-bat totals from last year, and he's not doing nearly as well. Why? Because you're leaning on a 4-day-a-week player or 3-day-a-week player by trying to play him 5 or 6 days a week, and it just doesn't work. And the Giants have done this many times, and unfortunately, they're doing it again. And it's just their veterans have regressed, their prospects haven't graduated, and they're leaning on a lot of kind of in between the margins kind of players. And that's, you can get away with like 5 or 6 of them on a team, but you can't get away with 10 or 12 or 15. And that's where they're at.
For sure. And I think that like Brian Sabian and Bobby Evans got a ton of flack for nostalgia contracts. You know, you win the World Series, you pay the guys, they're great. At that time, there was still, 25 to 28 years old, still pretty young. You could live with it. Matt Cain, I know, I love Kaner. I will never say a bad word about Kaner, but that contract did not go well. But, you bring in a new regime, they talk about, this is the new thing. We're going to cut the cord. It's non-nostalgia. And then what happens? We win 107 games. We pay a guy that's going to be 36 years old, Brandon Crawford. Love Crawford, like you said, 7 through 9. Put him in the lineup, plays Gold Glove defense. His hitting has always been a little suspect. He's had ups and downs over his career. Brandon Belt, again, inflamed knee. He can be good, but then he has the Brandon Belt army behind him where they either support him or they don't. And he pays both of those guys. He gives him $18 million, and then Crawford a 2-year deal, and then Evan Longoria, bring him up. He can't get off the injury bandwagon. He's old as well. And then, those are 3 guys that you're counting on 20 to 30 home runs a year, and they're not in the lineup. So
they're all 34 plus. And
yeah,
Tommy LaStella's right behind them there. And it's a team built of slow, injured, prone, old guys. And Ruff's another guy that's 35. He's doing well right now. If you play him spot playing, but I think you can get some decent prospects for some of these guys and still build around some of the other guys. But if you either going to go all in for someone like a mega star like Juan Soto and trade your farm, or you're going to keep your farm and get more farm guys that are ready to go. I believe you can go get Rodon. I believe you can get Blope from the shortstop from the Yankees, or Marte, the shortstop from the Mariners. That's each of their number 1 prospects. It's on a level of Luciano, according to all the baseball experts.
Yeah.
You get him in your farm system. Now you've got 2 guys. Okay, so one of them maybe becomes a superstar. Maybe both. Who knows? But the odds are that one of them is going to make it. So you just gotta either have a vision.
One of the big problems is that, Farhan can complain about the contracts that he inherited, but he issued the deal for DeSclafani. He issued the deal for Tommy LaStella. You can make an argument that those are 2 of their worst deals on the books. So, and when you look at the number of free agents that he signed overall, it's not a really high number. So to already have a couple of really bad deals on the ledger, it's a high percentage of his total number of veteran signings. He's had a lot of good moves on the margins, and I want to make sure we give him credit for those. But at the same time, I just think that there's not a lot of there. It's like if we could point to a foundation piece or that elite prospect that we all know is coming, the Giants version of Julio Rodriguez or something like that, but they don't have that level of a prospect, and so we don't have that guy to dream about, and we don't have that. We're not seeing we're seeing real regression this year, and we're seeing them coming off a 107 win year where they're spending a lower percentage of their revenue than the Dodgers are. Dodgers are going to spend more because they make more, but you got to spend at the same level that they're spending at. Otherwise, you're giving away a competitive advantage, and they just willingly are. So that's not right. They should not. They should be spending $20 million more on player payroll for sure. That's on the ownership. And then Farhan, has got these moves on the margins. I mean, Peterson's an all-star, Rodon's an all-star. He's got good talent and ability to look at the market and find value. But what about handicapping the amateur draft? What about the creative trades? What about building a team, piece by piece? And I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing a lot of plug-in guys and a lot of, and I'm not seeing a long-term vision. I'm seeing a lot of short-term vision.
Larry, so, I've got a question that's going to build directly off what you're just saying. So I think we can all kind of agree that when Farhan was brought in, it was kind of sold as a rebuild, right? Like we had our World Series. Everyone can agree that was sold as a rebuild. It's been 4 years. Who would you say that their best hitter is that's under the age of 30?
In the organization or on the team or
on the team?
I mean, how many are there?
Let me show you.
VR. They're the only guys that would be VR and Bart.
It's Gonzalez right now.
We've got Austin Wynns is 31, Brandon Belt's 34, Estrada's 26, Wilmer's 30, Ruff's 35, VR 25, Luis Gonzalez 26, Jock's 30, Slater's 29. I guess you could say Slater. Lamont Wade. Yeah.
See, the problem is none of the young guys. Like, I like Estrada, but is he really an everyday guy on a playoff team? I don't know.
No.
Is VR an everyday guy on a playoff team? I don't know. I mean, who's the young guy that they have that is a starter on a playoff team?
We don't have an established good hitter that is under the age of 30.
And that's the crazy thing about the minor league system right now, and who we have up as youth players is Luis Gonzalez going to be a 300 hitter with 3 or 4 home runs, and then go into next year, and then all of a sudden next year starts, and then he goes and he can't even touch the ball, and then we've wasted another season on these guys that aren't going to.
I know.
Here's the problem that did we answer this one yet from MF? Why is Belt struggling so much this year? He was on a tear in 2020, 21. Is his age, Donnie Ecker, or his knee? I think a lot of it's his knee and the fact that, he's a year older. He's 35. That's a time that guys start to, or 34, I believe he is. He's had a lot of injuries with the knee. And plus,
it's
Kapler's using him
probably.
different.
It's probably
Kapler is not using him, letting him, he's pinch hitting for him. How do guys get into a groove if they don't know they're going to be in the lineup? They don't even know if, they're in the lineup, and then all of a sudden he's being pinch hit for in the 7th inning in a tie game with a guy that's been in baseball in the major leagues for 2 weeks. So,
also there was, sometimes you got to look at like who you're picking up, like, who they could have had, who would have loved for them to get. And I was advocating getting him at the time. People were like, oh, you looked at his numbers and his numbers suck. And that was Nomar Mazara. Nomar Mazara was a exact kind of player they should have gone for. He was young. He made no money. He had massive, massive power, and his hitting, he needed a kind of a better approach and someone to kind of walk him through the mental hurdles of all the, young hitters struggle with the day after day after day and getting, self-scouting and not adjusting your swing too much. And so I think mentally he started getting overwhelmed, but he put together some incredible years and is not old. I think he's like 26 and didn't cost a lot. And why the Padres and AJ Preller added him. Now you look at Mazara. If Mazara figures it out, and it looks like he's kind of figuring it out, you've got more of a everyday guy. You've got a guy who could hit 15 or 20 bombs. There's some real upside there because of the power and the age. It's like take a shot on some younger guys with some tools. If you really think you got this great coaching staff that can turn guys around, then take some guys with some upside potential.
Here's their next year.
Under 25 on our as an offensive player on our entire
They should have invested in a guy like Mazara.
Next year's Luis Gonzalez is already on the roster, and I can see him being on the team next year in the platoon role again. But they'll bring up Colton Welker next year because he's rehabbing a shoulder injury. He's 24.
And that's fine. That's a good move. I like that move. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Farhan makes moves like that I really like. But then so many of these, like this year, like think about it from think if your job was to sell tickets for the Giants. And that you're like, okay, Farhan, who are you going to get in the offseason? Well, I'm going to get nobody. Oh, but you're going to lose all these players. Yeah, I know, but I'm going to get nobody. I'm going to make a bunch of moves on the edges. And I'm going to show you how sharp I am. And then here come these Padlo, parade of Padlos and Fairchilds and 5 deals in a week with the Mariners for guys you've never heard of. And this is not happening like in the dog days of August or September when everybody's tired. This is happening in April. They were not prepared for the season. And I think you got to blame Farhan for the lack of depth this year. I mean, you didn't have to be this thin. And then he was negligent.
I mean, another major. Wait, I feel like I don't know why but it is realizing the ages of the players on this team is like freaking me out. Because think about this: if you were 4 years ago, we brought in Farhan, and you said, okay, 4 years from now, an entire presidential term, our best hitters under 30 years old will be Tyro Estrada, Austin Slater, Luis Gonzalez, Lamont Wade, David Villar, and maybe Joey Bart. Like, what the hell? What the hell?
That's a fail. That's a
fail.
And here's the problem. Here's what keeps this whole thing going is this comment by Robert Rothberg. This is what is making the fans. You've got fans on both sides because they're right in the thick of being in a wild card spot.
You can't argue with that because they won a World Series out of the wild card spot.
Right.
So these people are dreaming the ultimate dream. But you don't have Buster behind the dish. He's a genius. You don't have him. You don't have Bochy in the dugout. He's a genius. You don't have that lockdown pen that you had all those years. So, I mean, those are three major elements of World Series and postseason
and you
contention.
Don't have a healthy
and you don't score runs.
Brandon Crawford at shortstop getting everything between third and second, diving, getting up, throwing. You don't have that anymore. You don't have a healthier Brandon Belt. All these things are, you got Brandon Belt and Brandon Crawford that are 8-10 years older now than when they were winning championships. I mean, that was at 2014, 8 seasons ago. So there's a lot of things that happen, and you're relying on Tyler Rogers in a key situation when the game's tied, and you're bringing him in, and you against a team that has had his number. His ERA, I bet, is probably like over 20 against the Dodgers between last year and this year.
And he's just very hittable.
Yeah, I know Tyler Rogers. He brings a unique element to the game with the sidearm release and everything that he throws. But, I was a freshman in high school, and I was hitting harder than Tyler Rogers throws velocity-wise. Like, you can't put that guy in the eighth or ninth inning when the game's on the line, the playoffs out of a multi-million-dollar industry on the line. The guy, he's a great guy.
Can't be used in extras because he does a runner on second base and he allows contact at will. Can't use him in the extras. Can't use him as a long man. I mean, farm him out. Find a real reliever. But you know what? Whatever. Hey, Ray Rob, we'll give you final say because we're coming down to the end of the live stream. So give us your final thought before we say goodbye to you.
I would just say thank you guys for the time. I really enjoyed speaking with you all. Definitely a listener here and tune in quite frequently, but I agree with you. I think we're all on the same page. I think change is needed. I think that 4 years in, I think if it was 1 or 2 years in and he was picking up these fringe guys and we're going, whoa, that could be a rotation player or a bench player, that's great. But 4 years in, I think we're right where we were. Sabian and Evans made some catastrophic deals to try to get us competitive for McCutchen and Longoria, but at least they tried to do something creative, like you were talking about, Larry. Something just we need something big. We need a big change, and I don't want to have any more nightmares about Papirski anymore. I'm ready to move on. I'm ready for something new. And we're one game out. I still think it's attainable to do something big to help and maybe get there, and then next year build on that. But I don't want to keep going. I don't want to see Tyro Estrada hitting 3 for me anymore. I'm done with it.
I know. I mean, I tweeted that out today. Look at the Giants 3-4-5. I'm like, they're 3-4-5. Who was it today? Who was 3-4-5, Danny? It was like Yermin, Estrada, and Flores, maybe.
Got it right here.
Who was it today?
Flores was 2.
3-4-5 was Ruff, Mercedes, and Estrada.
Yeah. And I tweeted out, that's the worst 3-4-5 in baseball. And there was some Giants fan out there was like, they listed like 6 teams, including the Reds. And I was like, what? There's 6 teams that have worse than that. And I'm like, no, that's seriously some orange and black classes. Hey, Ray Rob, we'll let you go, brother. Thanks for being a fan. Thanks for chiming in. Don't be
one last word for you, Ray Rob. What do you predict for the Raiders this year?
I'm going 12 wins this year. I think it's going to be
12-5, huh?
12-5
in that tough AFC West with the Chiefs and Broncos.
Oh yeah, we brought in some
And
big
Chargers.
They added Chandler Jones, right?
Chandler Jones.
It's all about their O-line.
Wait.
Jones.
I have a question for you, Raider Rob. Raiders aside, let's say the Raiders are not going to, they'll finish where they finish. Of the other three teams, what would you give the order?
I do Chiefs 2, Chargers 3, and
Denver 4.
Denver 4. Okay.
Yeah. I don't like Denver. I don't like Russell Wilson. Chandler Jones owns Russell Wilson, so I'm pumped up for that. Love Chandler Jones, and I think, and like I said, I'm a Raider fan, and I listen to you guys. I know it's Niner Mania over here. I'm barely allowed in my own family's house.
Are you going to the game on January 1?
I'm still looking at tickets. It's pretty astronomical at the moment, but our goal is. But like I said, my parents-in-law, diehard fans, season ticket holders, and they barely let me in the door. So I'm the black sheep of the family.
You're the black sheep, literally.
All right, brother. Hey, thank you for jumping in with us. Have a great day.
No tats, man.
All right. Hey.
See you,
All
Raider
right.
Rob. There we go, Raider
That's a
Rob.
great guest there. Yeah.
There we go. There we go. How do we? Okay. Good
Real
stuff.
quick here,
Good stuff.
$4.99 from MF. Why do we trust Farhan to do a rebuild? He was part of some really good teams in LA and never had to do a rebuild. Oakland, he did, but Billy did most of it.
Something to ponder. I mean,
something to ponder.
There's wartime generals, and then there's non-war. Like it's almost like you bring in a Farhan after you have the farm system because he's so good at the lunatic fringe.
Hey, you know what? Here's another comment that Anonymous talking to Romo says, this might be a really good point if with Rodon having Boris as his agent. Is anybody going to want to come to play with Kapler and the way the Giants do things?
Hey, if you to listen to the Giants say it, they say that team, that people want, are wanting them to, they want to come play for the Giants. They want to, play for these new way of thinking coaches and so on and so forth. I don't know.
I don't think everyday players the guys that see themselves as everyday players aren't going to want to come here.
Let's do this. Let's pay the bills and we'll come back and finish up with a few more thoughts on the Krueg Show after this. Larry Krueger here for Telmetrics. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telmetrics. If you're an occupational therapist, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and the telehealth environments. So using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, or if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist of any kind, make sure you use telmetrics.co, TELMETRIX.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the Krueg. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan Coccimilgio. Dan is a buddy, and he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist. And you can contact him today at securemoney.com or at his number 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is secure. That is the key. Danny's got 25 years of experience, born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call, 925-628-9966. He'll make an appointment with you, and you can sit down. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a deal. He'll consult with you and come up with a strategy to get you going to where you want to be. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web. And thanks to Dan. And thanks to Tony Cassera and the good people at Cassera's Italian Menswear. They are housing the Krueg Show t-shirts, and they're a proud sponsor of the show as well. The Krueg Show t-shirt, the Krueg Show podcast t-shirt is available there at their store in Dublin. Their address is 7372 San Ramon Road in Dublin, California. And go see Tony Cassera and get yourself a Krueg Show t-shirt and support the show. And special thanks to our sponsor, New York Style Italian Sausage. That's right, NewYorkStyleSausage.com is their website. Phenomenal product, whether it's the breakfast sausage, the Italian mild, the Italian spicy, the chorizo. You cannot go wrong with New York Style Italian Sausage. Once again, NewYorkStyleSausage.com. Often imitated, never equaled.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
All right, welcome back to the Krueg Show. Larry Krueger, Dan Coccimilgio with a new hat. Dan has switched hats during the break. Sounds like
I just reapplied a lot of moisturizer.
Get him.
You know, I was actually gonna see if I can get my kid to bring Penny in here so you guys can see Penny.
Oh,
You guys wanna see Penny?
Yeah. Golden Retriever, yeah.
Here you go.
Let me see. I'll try to see if I can get that message sent. I have to text it. Okay. So guys, what's your final thoughts on tonight here? Ugly game for the Giants.
My final thought is this, that the Dodgers irritates me because I can't stand them, but I have to give them the respect for what they do as an organization, because to me, the Dodgers, switch hats here, are the Warriors of MLB. Their top three guys, Mookie, Trey Turner, and Freddie Freeman, are like our big three: Curry, Steph, and Curry, Clay, and Draymond.
They're not homegrown. I will say that.
I know none of them are. None of them are. So in a way, they're not. But they have star players. They spend when they need to, and they bring in guys. And people that go there are just thrilled to seem to be able to play there. And it's just frustrating to me that the Giants laid a big egg. They were in 3 of the 4 games tied in the 7th inning or later and you had the feeling that after they lost Monday or Thursday night's game, after coming back, that they were going to, and we said it on the show after Friday, they lost game 2. They're going to get swept. We saw it. And, it's just like when the Giants lost game 6 in the World Series in 2002 to the Angels after blowing a big 5-0 lead. You knew you were excited for game 7, hoping, but in your mind, you were like, they lost the World Series in game 6. The Giants got swept after game 2, and that was it. That's my final thoughts.
Rye, you got a final thought before we bolt for the door here?
My final thought is now pivoted. I will not stand for any comparisons to the Warriors, just because, I mean, it would be like if the Lakers had gotten, they brought in Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and whoever else just won a title, Kawhi, and yes, they still had Clayton Kershaw.
I'll give you credit there. I'll give you credate. Yeah, the Dodgers.
They've also won one World Series, and it was a bubble World Series, and all of their best players have won and accomplished. Their 3 best players have won World Series without the Dodgers. So it just sucks because they have a lot of money to spend, and I mean, they've got a good organization. I'll give them that, and they've got LA, and it's just gross. They're turning into the new Yankees. But my final thought is, I mean, I don't know. This is, I guess, a kind of a. This was cathartic. I'm feeling a little optimistic because I feel like everyone's sort of on the same page now. We're not winning the World Series. Everyone, let's give it up. Let's start thinking about the future, because the last thing anybody wants is 2 years from now and we're still going out and getting fringe guys, and we have no one under 27 that's a good hitter, and it's just things need to change.
MF donates another $4.99. MF is really, he's peeling off bills here.
In Rucker Park.
Giants going to regret trading away Alexander Canario to the Cubbies in the Chris Bryant trade. He's raking right now in the minors. No more trading away Killians and Canarios. Yeah, I loved his bat speed. I don't know. I really did. I mean, I thought he had like young Sammy Sosa like bat speed. People gave me a hard time when I said that, but go watch him. Go watch him and decide for yourself. Canario, I don't know if he's ever going to make it, but he does have crazy bat speed.
I'm going to check his stats right now.
Check his stats. I'd like to know, because
he's got 24 this year.
He's got 24 home runs?
Yeah, he's got 24 home runs. He's got 17 in Double-A.
Wow.
Yeah. See, I mean, what? I mean, seriously, if you watch this guy, he's got crazy bat speed and he takes a huge swing. But
I mean, seriously, this is the most extreme version. But would you like to see them do something almost similar to what the Cubs did last year?
Which was, everyone. Think about it. I brought this up the other day. The Cubs, if you watch the Futures game in LA, which was last Sunday. The one of the teams had this center fielder named Pete Crow Armstrong, PCA, and the Mets had him, and he was a first-round draft choice, and he was like one of their highest rated guys, and the Mets gave him to the Cubs at the deadline last year for Javi Baez, and then didn't re-sign Baez. So the Mets lost Pete Crow Armstrong. Now Pete Crow Armstrong looks like he's going to man center field at Wrigley Field for the next decade. So that's the kind of move I would want to make. Yes. I don't want to trade guys for the heck of it, but if you can find that guy on the fast track that you think, like, I really personally think like a good trade for the Giants. We're talking about taking on Strasburg and Corbin. If you're not going to go for a Soto, I'll tell you, I would take some of the Padres' bad money off their hands to get Robert Hassel III. They have a guy who's kind of like Kyle Tucker for the Astros, who's like a really smooth swinging. They call him Bobby Barrels. Okay, his name's Robert Hassel III. He's probably a right fielder. He's a tall, angular right fielder. I would take Will Myers and the rest of Eric Hosmer's bad contract if they would give me Robert Hassel III. If I could get an outstanding corner outfielder that could be up in September and maybe could start next year on opening day in right field, I would take on the rest of Hosmer's deal and Will Myers. One, Will Myers does well in this ballpark. Two, Hosmer's a very good defensive player, and Hosmer's a line drive hitter who's made to play in the park. So, yeah, are you paying for Hosmer's going to hit with very little power, and he's going to hit you about 275, 280, and his best days are behind him. But he won't embarrass himself. And that's a pretty cheap price to pay when you think of getting a guy who could be an all-star right fielder and somebody who you could be like, the next 3-hole hitter in your lineup. So I want to see a creative deal. I want to see them go to the Padres and say, hey, Preller, we'll take Hosmer, we'll take Will Myers, but we want, Bobby Hassel. We want maybe that kid, the catcher who's really good, who's behind the plate, AAA for them. I forget his name, but, give me a couple prospects that are on the verge, and I'll make that trade. I'll take on that money. I want to see the Giants use their financial might to either make a good trade or to pick up make a great signing or a great trade because they were willing to take on the money. I think they're ready to do that kind of a move.
Yeah, and let's just do this. Let's only sign free agents that are of a certain age, and let's do this thing. Let's freaking revamp our farm system. Let's get younger. Let's do it. Like last year.
I'll say this, Rye, with the I really think when Farhan did take over this team, the cupboard was empty.
Mm-hmm.
And they were ranked really low, like 27th, 28th, and now they're ranked top 10, 12 by most guys that do that for a living, that rate farm systems. The fact that you're drafting 18, 19, 20-year-olds, I would say that I would expect some of these college guys that are drafted, especially some of the pitchers, to be ready, like a Bednar. Like, to me, a Bednar should be ready to go next year, because guys that come out of college are more advanced than high school pitchers, and Harrison may make it before Bednar. So I don't know. I think college guys that they're drafting, a lot of these pitchers, maybe that's the plan, to get some of those guys up, and then maybe some of them get traded for other position player prospects. But they are, their best prospects are at high A. And they've got maybe one prospect at AA. I think the Arbach kid is down there that can catch and play some second base at AA. He's in Richmond. They got another kid hitting in Richmond that's hit like 23 homers. I can't remember who that was. Maybe somebody in the chat knows that. But the Giants, they've got to start making deals that guys who are, like Larry said, Hassel. Is that how you say it?
Lottery tickets.
Robert Hassel III.
Yeah,
but they call
guys
him,
that are AAA that are ready to.
They call him Bobby Barrels.
Guys that are AAA, and the next move up, next stop is the big leagues, because when you get a lot of guys that are high A or even AA, and they're just still, learning and trying to.
Well, I mean, think about it. Yeah, it's low risk. I mean, here's the thing about this. If there's lots of risk, right? There's risk in the free agent market. Tons of risk. Every deal's a potential landmine. There's risk in the amateur draft. Tons of risk. There's all kinds of guys who are drafted really high and don't make it. How do you mitigate that risk? You mitigate that risk by being one of these teams that keeps picking up guys at the end of their deals, going for it, and then pawning those guys in July. Not deluding yourself into thinking, well, we're only 3.5 out of the wild card. No. Pawn that guy for the AA guy or the AAA guy who's doing it. Now you've hedged your bet. That guy, you still have all the control. You're getting a young player, except you're not getting a young player who's in rookie league or A-ball, low A-ball. You're getting a guy who's proven he can do it already in AA generally. And so that I think should not be undersold, because I think that's where the least risk is trading for these prospects who are on the verge. You don't have to handicap it like a real baseball scout would and say, what is this player going to look like in 5 years, 7 years, 10 years? You're asking, what is this player going to look like in 6 months? What's this player going to look like in a year? And that should minimize your risk. And so that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see them use their financial might to get these players. But if they want to, I'm okay with selling on Rodon. I'm okay with selling on basically anybody on their team this year outside of Webb. Really, what if you looked at their team from afar and said, what's their foundation? It's probably Webb and Doval.
Or Bart. Webb,
Doval, Bart. You're
maybe Santos. I mean, there's not too much. It's not it's probably the least. It's probably the smallest core of almost any team in the big leagues. If you really looked at like who they either have at AA, AAA, or on their major league roster, who's going to be part of their future. If you looked at every team in the big leagues, even the A's, that kid who hit the home run in the Futures game, Langoliers, he's obviously a big part of their future. So then they get a few guys that are on the verge. So I'm just saying, maybe hedge your bet a little bit. Don't risk it all in the amateur draft. Don't trade for guys in A-ball. See if you can make some trades in July or early August for guys that are more on the verge. So you minimize your risk and maybe you can get a quicker turnaround. All right, guys, that's good for us tonight or to this afternoon. Thanks to everybody in the chat.
Yeah, this is awesome.
A lot of fun people, a lot of fun chatter today, a lot of good comments. Clarence Beek should have kept one of Solano, Bryant, Gaussman free agents. I don't know about that, but it's probably true in hindsight. What are we playing on our way out the door before we hit the close?
Gotta hit just because we probably have some new people in here. We gotta hit the Monster Slam will be coming back, but I'm still have not gotten enough of this crazy man in the bleachers.
Okay.
Get fired up here. Let's go! Who wants to be up? Yeah! Want to be on the Larry Krueger show? Yeah! All right! Let's go, Giants! All right, we're out here in the bleachers with the Larry Krueger show. Larry Krueger! Yeah, we're gonna be on YouTube right now tonight. All right. Okay. When I say Larry, you say Krueger. Larry! Krueger! Larry! Krueger! Larry! Krueger! All right, let's hear it one more time.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. Yeah, we ain't never fall back.